Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome to Wrestling with Episode 2, The Rubber Match. It's finally time to get this thing settled. It's been going for too damn long. It did not go according to plan in the last show.
We're right at about a year.
I am Nick the Geek. I'm joined, of course, by our two contestants, our two titans of fantasy booking. I'm joined by the captain. Captain, how the hell are you doing?
I've got a very badly dislocated and swollen finger, but apart from that, ice and alcohol will, take care of that.
Very nice. And we are joined by the king himself. Jimmy, how you doing?
My back is killing me. I threw my back out. And
we're both coming into this thing injured.
No, I've got a bad
not even a cool story either, so it's just
Matty down is fucked. So.
I was about to say, don't even ask me how I'm doing. I'm absolutely shattered.
Right. Well, and we are joined, of course, returning from last time on Wrestling New Thoughts. Thanks again, Mr. Devin Andrews. Devin,
hey guys, I have a torn rotator cuff.
We're all screwed. Welcome to the world of professional wrestling.
We look like the Toon Squad in Space. We look like the Toon Squad in Space Jam when they've all been injured by the
pretty much
stars.
Like I said, this is why on a Saturday afternoon we're doing a podcast instead of out doing whatever people do that can move.
And we are joined by, for the first time, an old friend returning for a while, Matty Laws from the Raw Ball podcast. Matty, how you doing?
I'm on work day 11 of 15. I'm fucking dead.
Yikes.
Everybody in this stream is broken. So yeah, let's just add to it. I've dislocated both of my knees.
Nice.
Neither of your knees work to begin with.
It's just kind of ridiculous.
Right. But anyway, gents, let's get this thing started, shall we? Jimmy, call it. Heads or tails?
Heads.
It is heads. Do you want to go first or second, sir?
Yeah, I want to go first.
Right. Give me a sec. Let me get this screen sorted.
TWC in the house, baby.
There we go. Right, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy's book starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Crown Jewel results. Drew McIntyre wins the World Championship from Seth Rollins. Rhea retains her Women's Championship. Nia Jax had taken out all the women at the end, but Rhea Ripley came in, threw her out, and stole the victory by pinning Raquel. John Cena defeated Solo Sikoa. Rey Mysterio retained his United States title over Logan Paul, and obviously Roman Reigns beat LA Knight to retain his title. Raw, November 6th. Triple H opens up the show. We're on the road to Survivor Series, and he's looking to capitalize on last year's momentum. He talks about how Survivor Series used to feel bigger, and he wants to get back to that. First, Survivor Series matches will return for the men and women. He's adding stakes to those matches as well. They will have implications for the Royal Rumble, and not only will Raw and SmackDown be going head-to-head, but NXT will be in the fold as well. With the Rumble having 30 spots, each brand will represent a sector in the match. Those 3 sectors, spots 1 through 10 are the first, 11 through 20 are the second, 21 through 30 are the third. The winner of their respective Survivor Series matches will get that third spot for their brand. The first team eliminated will get the first, and the team in the middle will obviously get the middle sector. We'll get the captains for those teams picked this week as we start the build for Survivor Series. End segment. Miz in the ring. He's trying to explain why he should be the captain of Team Raw. Alpha Academy comes out. Shoosh. Gable says if anyone should be the captain, it should be him, on top of being the leader of Alpha Academy and whipping them into tip-top shape. He is an Olympian and graduated with a master's degree. Out comes Imperium. Gunther says that while he has been informed of other plans of Survivor Series, the fool standing in the ring cannot be serious to think that they have what it takes to lead, and states Ludwig has all the tools to lead Team Raw to victory. Ricochet interrupts, but before he can say a word, Miz cuts him off and says that every single one of them are rude for coming out here and trying to undermine him. New Day comes out. Who should be the captain? Who? Adam Pearce comes out. Okay, enough. You all think you should be the captain, and you're all staying in that ring, so I think it's very obvious that the best way to handle this is for you all to fight it out in a battle royal. Winner gets to be captain, and if there's anyone else that thinks they have what it takes, they need to get out here right now before the commercial's up so we can figure this out. Commercial break, come back. The contestants are Chad Gable, Otis, Kaiser, Giovanni, Xavier Woods, Kofi, Miz, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, Ciampa, Bronson Reed, and Ivar. Match starts. Gable eliminates Vinci first within the first 30 seconds of the match. Gunther at ringside scolds him and tells him to leave for the back. Miz tries to convince New Day to help him take out Bronson. They say okay, but as soon as he steps up, they both eliminate him from behind. Miz is eliminated. Ivar, Otis, and Bronson end up as the only men standing at one point, and they start brawling. As Otis starts to get the upper hand, Ivar and Bronson decide to double team him and eliminate Otis together. Bronson then takes advantage of the short-lived alliance and eliminates Ivar from behind. Gable and Ludwig focus on each other for most of this match. Ciampa and Gargano eliminate Kingston and Xavier when Ciampa hits a running high knee to Kingston on the apron, and Gargano hits a super kick to Woods on the apron. Woods and Xavier eliminated. Woods and Kingston. Gable and Ludwig continue to fight with Ricochet. Gargano and Ciampa team up on Bronson. They get the big man down, and Ricochet goes to the top rope, but Ludwig sneaks away from a downed Gable and runs over to knock Ricochet off, eliminating Ricochet. Gargano hits Ludwig with a super kick, dropping him to his knees. DIY go for the meeting in the middle, but Bronson runs over and shoulder checks Gargano, sending him flying. Ciampa reverts his attention and tries to jump on Bronson in retaliation. Bronson and Ciampa brawl into the corner, and Gargano is back up. He storms over to help Ciampa, but Ludwig comes out of nowhere, grabs him, and eliminates him by throwing him over the top rope. Ludwig smirks and cleans his hands off as he looks over at Gargano on the floor, which allows Gable to run over and eliminate Ludwig. Gunther looks pissed, but unlike earlier, his anger is directed at Chad Gable. Thank you. Gable turns his attention to Bronson, who drops him with a big clothesline. Bronson bullies Ciampa and Gable for a little bit, but Ciampa eventually is able to duck a clothesline and come back with a big running knee. He hits a second running knee on Bronson, and he falls back onto the ropes. Ciampa hits a clothesline to try and send Reed over, but it does nothing. Reed grabs Reed's leg and tries to lift him up over, and after struggling for a bit, Reed drops an axe handle over his back. He then shoves him back. Ciampa falls on his ass, but it gets up immediately and runs back, but Bronson Reed ducks and hits a backdrop that sends Ciampa to the floor and eliminated Ciampa. Reed looks over and sees Gable is struggling to get up in the corner. He goes in for a splash, but Gable is playing possum and he moves. Reed hits the corner and Gable grabs him around the waist from the back. He drives Reed into the corner again and then hits the Chaos Theory to Reed. He lets go of the bridge, though. Reed rolls through and then stumbles up to his feet and then onto the ropes. Gable runs over, but Reed does the exact same thing he did to Ciampa and hits a back body drop. Gable ends up on the apron. He grabs Bronson as he turns around and goes for a suplex, but he can't lift him. Reed tries to suplex Gable, but as soon as he gets him up, Gable kicks his feet so he can drop back down to the apron. As he comes to the apron, he drops down to his hip, using that leverage to pull Reed over and eliminate him, making Chad Gable your winner and the captain of Team Raw. End. Dom and Rhea enter Pierce's office. Dom says he hears Adam wanted to see him and says to make it quick. Pierce says this won't take long. He just wanted to inform Dom of his match at Survivor Series. He says he heard what Dom had to say earlier this month about being the champion of North America and how that's a much bigger deal than being the United States champion. He, along with Aldis, HBK, and Triple H, think it would be ideal for you to prove that at Survivor Series against Rey Mysterio. Dom chuckles and says he loves that idea. He wants to teach his deadbeat dad a lesson. Adam then says that's not all. He assumes that Dom considers himself to be a better champion than the Intercontinental Champion as well, and that Gunther will be added to that match in a triple threat. Dom turns pale white, Rhea complains, and then Adam waves them goodbye as they leave his office. End segment. Drew McIntyre comes to the ring. He wants everyone to know that the new World Heavyweight Champion is going to be doing things differently. There will be no more open challenges. He had to fight and claw his way back to get here, and he didn't kiss anybody's ass to do it. So if you think he's going to be handing out opportunities to the entitled crybabies in the back, you've got another thing coming. I'm here to prove that I'm the best damn wrestler in the world today. So if you haven't earned the opportunity to step up to me, keep your ass out of my way. He holds his title in the air. End segment. Nia Jax versus Caden Carter. Squash match. Afterwards, Nia calls out Rhea Ripley, says, you got lucky at Crown Jewel. You can't duck me forever. End segment. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are with Pierce in his office. Adam is annoyed, as he always is, when Chelsea is in his presence. Chelsea has explained to Adam that she should be the captain since she has been tag champ for over 100 days. She has withstood losing a partner and the so-called curse that these titles have. So if anyone in this women's roster has what it takes to lead a team to victory and success, it's her. Piper clears her throat and gives Chelsea a bit of a jump scare, and then Chelsea adds, oh, and Piper as well, obviously. Adam asks Chelsea if he lets her do that, if she'll leave him alone for the rest of the month, to which she says yes. Adam agrees, and Chelsea shrieks in excitement. End segment. Main event, Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. Towards the end of this match, Judgment Day tries to get involved, but Sami fights them off, which allows Finn to catch him off guard and use the distraction to pick up the win. They jump Sami after the match. Jay comes down to try and make the save, but Jimmy Uso jumps the barricades and hits him with a super kick. Cody comes out afterwards, which sends Jimmy running. Cody slides in the ring, but the numbers game gets him because Sami is already down, and an outsider's edge and a coup de grace leave Cody down on the ground as Judgment Day stands tall and the show. NXT November 7th. Show opens up with HBK. He addresses the opportunity NXT has coming up, and he will do whatever it takes to get these people ready for the moment they have. He says he appointed a captain for the men and women's side, and tonight they will be looking to complete their teams. He chose Dijak for the men's team, a man with much experience and all the qualities he feels necessary to be a great leader for Team NXT. And for the women's side, Tiffany Stratton gets the honor because he feels like nobody has grown more as a competitor over the last year. And the last thing she needs to do to prove herself as someone who can be successful at the next level is to show her leadership skills. And throughout the night, segment show. JC Jane and Thea Hale coming up to join, asking to join Team NXT. Tiffany says that she actually likes what they've been doing with Thea, so they can be on the Tiffy team. Blair Davenport says she shouldn't be asking to join. It should be the other way around. Tiffany says she does like how Blair took out all those bimbos earlier this year. So yeah, you could be on the team. And then the third segment later in the night, Roxanne asked to join, but Tiffany says no. She already filled that final spot. When Roxanne asks who, Tiffany stalls because she doesn't really have anyone. Core Jade then walks up. Tiffany says, duh, Core's the last member. Toodles. Tiffany waves, Roxanne leaves, and she welcomes Core Jade to the team. For the men, throughout the night, Baron Corbin tells D-Jack in the back and that he knows they've had their differences, but if anyone can help them against Raw and SmackDown, it's him, and Dijak agrees. Next up, Dijak is walking down a row of talent in NXT, looking them up and down, and even jump scaring a few to see if they would flinch. Noam flinches, Frazier flinches, the Creeds don't budge. Dijak sizes them up one more time and says, you'll do. The Creeds join. The third segment shows Dijak talking to Lexis King. He asks if he's ready, and Lexis says he lives by a golden rule, do unto others and enjoy it, and I think I'm really going to enjoy this. He is the last member. This is the first we've seen of Lexis King, not the crap we have seen of him on actual NXT TV. SmackDown. The show kicks off with a shot of Nick Aldis' door. Out comes Lashley. He is approached by Kayla for an interview, and she asks him what that was about. Bobby says he was working out a business deal with Aldis so that he could be appointed the captain of Team SmackDown. Nobody is better equipped for the job, and he already has his first two members joining. The Street Profits walk up. There will be a fatal four-way tonight to determine the other two that will join us. In the background of the segment, you see Rhea Ripley is seen talking with Paul Heyman. End. Roman is in his locker room later in the show with Paul Heyman and Solo. Roman wants to know what Jimmy was doing on Raw last week. Paul says, I don't know, my tribal chief. Where's Jimmy right now? I don't know, my tribal chief. Well, for a wise man, you don't seem to know very much now, do you? Paul trembles and says, I'm so sorry, my tribal chief. I'll go find Jimmy right now. Paul exits the room as Roman says, yeah, you do that. End segment. Theory and Waller versus Pretty Deadly versus the Brawling Brutes versus Grimes and Dragon Lee. This match was put together to find out the final two members to join Team SmackDown, and Theory and Waller pick up the win to join Bobby and the Street Profits for Team SmackDown. And Damage Control approaches Nick Aldis. Bayley says that he gave Lashley the captain spot. Since he gave Lashley the captain spot, he should do the same for her. Aldis chuckles and says he actually agrees with Bayley because whereas they haven't always gone about things the right way, Bayley has proven to be a great leader that has led these two women at her side to quite a bit of success. End segment. Kayla interviews Damage Control back from commercial and asks who will be joining the team. Bayley says that she doesn't want any losers on her team, so that she'll be holding qualifying matches. Io chimes in and says, what about you? Bayley looks over at Io and then back at Kayla and says, Io's going to have to qualify too, but don't worry, it's only so I'm not playing favorites. She'll win, she always wins. Io doesn't look happy. End segment. Main events, John Cena and LA Knight tagging up against Judgment Day for the tag team titles. Judgment Day wins after Solo Sikoa interferes and spikes John Cena, allowing Priest to hit a chokeslam and pin him. After the match, Roman and Paul come down. Priest and Finn hold LA Knight and make him watch. Roman gets in his face and tells him to take notice. Roman then gets in Cena's face as Solo holds him up for him. And Roman says, acknowledge me. Cena spits in Roman's face. Solo spikes him and then picks him back up as Cena is just folded over. Roman tells Cena that he's willing to forgive him if he does the right thing and acknowledge him. Cena can't even hold his head up, though. So Roman hits the ropes and they hit the spike spear combo on Cena. Solo then drops down and repeatedly starts to thumb Cena's throat like we did see at the real Crown Jewel, as Roman starts to scream at LA Knight that he'll be next if he doesn't stay out of the Tribal Chief's business. Finn and Priest then lift LA Knight up and Roman spears him. They all stand tall in the ring over Knight and Cena end show. Raw, November 13th. Judgment Day comes out. They are with Paul Heyman and Solo. Paul lets it be known that he has it under the authority of the Tribal Chief to be here and lend his and Solo services to Judgment Day not tonight due to the dangers of people like Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn. Rhea Ripley takes over. She thanks the Bloodline for their service tonight. She then tells Nia Jax that anytime that she feels need to be eradicated, she'll be more than happy to oblige. Dom takes over. He can't wait to slap his deadbeat dad around one more time, and that if Gunther knows what's good for him, he'll stay out of his way. Damian takes over and says that it goes for anyone else on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT because Judgment Day runs WWE, and if you don't want to fall in line, you'll be put down. Heyman notices this and then pulls up his phone as the music starts to play for the end of the segment. Gable in the backstage is going over his notes with Otis and Maxine. He says he needs to put together the best team and will do so based on not just physical skill, but brain power as well. Otis looks worried. Chad slaps him on the chest and says, don't worry, big guy, you're my number one. Bronson walks up and asks says that if Otis is on the team, he should be as well. Gable says he sees some potential, but he'll have to prove it. Beat my main man Otis here tonight, and you're in. Reed agrees, but only under the condition that if Otis loses, he's out. Gable agrees. End segment. Bronson Reed versus Otis. Bronson wins after the Tsunami Splash to earn the spot on Team Raw. Otis is out. End. Chelsea Green is doing interviews for Team Raw. Baszler is up first. She asks where Piper is, and Chelsea says she's off this week. She asks Shayna what she could bring to the team other than horrible fashion. Shayna asks Chelsea what is stopping her from choking her out right now, to which Chelsea's mood changes and says, Shayna, I seems like you'd be a great fit. End segment. Imperium crosses paths with Rhea and Dom in the back. Dom hides behind Rhea. Gunther is not amused with their antics, and Ludwig suggests Dom stay quiet when speaking about the ring general. Rhea says Dom is more man than any of them could ever dream of being, and she looks forward to watching him be the first person to pin Gunther at Survivor Series. Gunther laughs and says that nobody in Judgment Day can beat him, and then Rhea dares him to prove it against Finn Balor next week. Gunther accepts. End segment. Chelsea Green interview number 2. Zoe Stark walks in. Chelsea asks if Zoe is here to interview, and Zoe says, no, I'm here to take the spot. Before Chelsea can even say another word, Zoe grabs her by the collar, pulls her over the table, and says, I'm part of the team. Chelsea says, yep, sounds good. And then Zoe lets her go and leave. Chelsea is shocked and disgusted. End segment. McIntyre is backstage with Pierce. Drew is wondering what he's going to be doing at Survivor Series, and Adam tells him that he is currently in talks with someone from another brand, and he will have his answer by sometime next week. End. Main event, Cody Rhodes with Jay versus Priest with Solo and Heyman. Cody is still hurt from last week's attack, and Damian takes advantage of that. Much of the offense is centered around Cody's midsection. A slow, methodical paced match started off. Damian finally goes for the outsider's edge, but Cody wiggles free, and as Damian turns around, he gets hit with a Cody cutter. Both men are down, but answer the count at 8. Damian goes for a clothesline, but Cody ducks. He hits him with 2 right hands and then drops down to the ground to go for the drop-down punch, but as he hits the mat, he grimaces in pain and can't throw the punch. Damian then grabs him by the throat, picks him up to his feet, and goes for a choke slam. As he lifts him up, Cody jumps behind him and then grabs him in with the crossroads. He hits it. He goes for the pin. 1, 2. Cody gets pulled out of the ring by Solo. Samoan Spike, DQ. Jey Uso runs around and jumps off the steps onto Solo, and they start brawling. After a minute, Priest is able to get up, and he comes out to jump Jay from behind. As he beats down Jay, Solo starts to clear the announcer's table. As this happens, Jay fights back to Priest and hits him with a Samoan drop, and then turns his attention to Solo. But there's Jimmy Uso once again with a super kick to take him down. Jimmy then directs Solo to put him on the table as he goes to the top rope. Solo picks Jay up, hits him with a Samoan spike, that drops Jay on the table. Jimmy is at the top, and he jumps off the top rope to hit a splash to the announcer's table. Solo and Heyman overlook the carnage. Then they go to backstage, and it shows Finn and Dom attacking Sammy while Rhea stands by. Pierce comes with security to pull them all away from Sammy, and as it starts to calm down, Rhea then gets thrown into a pile of barrels. Camera pans out. It's Nia Jax, and she's looking down at a fallen Rhea. End show. NXT November 14th, Baszler versus JC Jane. Shayna wins this match by submission. The rest of the women's NXT team run down to make the save after Shayna holds the hold on for a bit long. She lets it go and exits the ring right before the team enters the ring for the save, and Shayna has a good laugh before exiting to the crowd. End match. HBK on the phone backstage. He says he thinks he's on the phone, and he says he has the perfect person in mind. End segment. SmackDown November 17th. Heyman is talking with Solo and Jimmy Uso. Paul questions why Jimmy's is here tonight when the tribal chief isn't. Jimmy blows it off and says, man, last week I just had car trouble. Is this all good? Paul then informs them that he has a lot of work to do, and if the rumors he has heard are true, then they can expect a very eventful night. End segment. Bianca versus Isla Dawn, first match to set up Team SmackDown for Bayley. Nothing special. Bianca wins a clean match. Bayley on commentary is not happy. End. Heyman is talking with Lashley. He speaks up the importance of winning at Survivor Series due to the implications it holds at the Royal Rumble. He thinks Bobby's done a wonderful job of putting together a team, but Roman Reigns has said that he would like to offer up Solo Sikoa's services as a gesture of good faith. Bobby says he already has his team filled. Paul then suggests that he's not questioning Bobby's decisions, but he does think that one of his boys has proven in the past to be a weak link, and Solo would be a better idea. Just think about it. End segment. Asuka versus Zelina, second match to set up Team SmackDown with Bayley. Again, straightforward match with a clean finish that sees Asuka win. Bayley on commentary is not happy. End. Heyman is shown leaving Nick Aldis' office. Jimmy Uso is waiting outside the door and asks, what's up? Paul says he's still trying to figure things out, but he was just informed Jimmy will be in the main event against Cody tonight. This is a great opportunity to impress the tribal chief. Don't let him down. Jimmy claps his hands together and says, all right, yeet, and he leaves. Lashley is in the locker room with Montez and Dawkins. He says he appreciates the work they've put in, but due to a business arrangement, Solo Sikoa is going to be taking the place of one of them. And since Dawkins' track record hasn't been the best, it's going to be Dawkins. Dawkins looks pissed. He gets up and storms off. Montez goes to go after him, but Bobby puts his hand on his chest and says, let him cool off. End segment. Cody Rhodes versus Jimmy Uso. Before the match can even start, Judgment Day music hits, and Finn, Priest, and Dom start to walk down to the ring with Cody trapped in the middle. As Priest is in the as Jimmy Uso is in the ring. Sorry. Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, though, attack from behind on the ramp as an all-out brawl happens with the 7 men. Security comes out, separates everyone. Each side is on separate sides of the ring. Aldis and Pierce come out, and they say this has gone on long enough. I should have known this was going to happen when I asked people from Raw to be here tonight, but we had to have you here because we have an important announcement to make. Nick Aldis then lets it be known that this mayhem will not fly on his show no more. And if you guys want to tear each other apart, that's good because at Survivor Series, you're going to have yourselves a good old-fashioned war games. Figure out your 4-man teams and let's make it happen. All members break free again and slide the ring, and all hell breaks loose once again. Just as the Bloodline and Judgment Day start to get ahead, LA Knight's music hits and he runs down to the ring. He slides in and starts handing out BFTs, the Judgment Day and Jimmy Uso, a la just Stone Cold back in the day. And he ends the show standing tall, telling them they should have taken him out with Cena last week. He will be the 4th man for Team Cody Rhodes. As the show is about to end, we go to backstage and we see Paul Heyman talking to someone behind a door. He knows they have history and that trusting him or the Bloodline will not be easy, but I can give you my word that at least for this one night only at Survivor Series, you would be safe. We're simply just offering you a chance to get your hands on the men that did you wrong. Paul reaches out for a handshake, and after a moment of hesitation, the other person agrees. The door shuts. It's Kevin Owens and show. Raw, November 20th. Drew starts off the show. He's tired of waiting. He demands Pierce come out right now. Adam says, if you want to know who your partner is, you need to show up to NXT tomorrow night. End segment. Heyman is with Pierce in his office. He tells Pierce that it will be Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Kevin Owens for the Team Bloodline that will face off against Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and LA Knight. Pierce thanks him. End segment. DIY is talking with Alpha Academy. They want to be a part of Team Raw. Gable says that sounds like an excellent idea. Imperium walks up, and Ludwig says that sounds like a horrible idea. They get into a back and forth, and it ends when Gunther says that if he allows Imperium to have an opportunity to join Team Raw, he will grant Chad Gable that rematch that he's been begging for. Gable says that sounds like a great idea, and they suggest a tag match between the two teams. And since there's 3 spots left, whoever gets pinned is the one that gets left out. Gunther accepts. Alpha Academy DIY walk off. Gunther looks at Ludwig and then stares down Vinci before telling him, don't get pinned. End segment. Chelsea Green interview number 3. Piper is back this week, and she's sitting in the corner not paying attention. Tegan Knox comes in and says she'd like to be the final member. Piper laughs, and Tegan asks what's so funny. Chelsea says that Tegan has done nothing to prove she deserves a spot. Tegan says she'd love to prove it, and Chelsea asks Tegan if she really thinks she can beat Piper. Tegan says it would be more impressive if I actually beat the team captain to show how deserving I was. Piper says that actually sounds good, and Chelsea accepts. End segment. DIY versus Imperium. DIY win when they hit meeting in the middle on Vinci to pick up the win. That means Ludwig gets to join Team Raw by himself with Alpha Academy and DIY. And Bronson Reed and Vinci will have to answer to Gunther and match. Cody J and Sammy are talking backstage. Sammy says he knows why they want to talk. He saw Paul and Kevin shake hands at the end of SmackDown, but he hasn't talked to Kevin since. Cody says, okay, they trust him. He pats him on the shoulder and walks off. Jay asks Sammy if he's telling him the whole truth. He's been in the situation before, and he knows how hard it can be. Sammy asks, are you kidding me, dog? Jay holds his head down in shame for a second before saying, yeah, you're right, Sammy. I'm sorry. Are we good? Sammy says, we Uzi. They hug it out. Jay leaves. Sammy makes a phone call. Come on, Kev, pick up. End segment. Chelsea Green versus Tegan Knox. Quick match. Sees Tegan pick up the win to get the final spot for Raw. After the match, she tries to help Chelsea up, but Chelsea slaps her across the face and then runs away to hide behind Piper. End segment. Contract signing. Nia Jax tells Rhea Ripley that there's no need to hide how scared she is. Just accept what's coming and kiss that title goodbye. Dom steps up to tell Nia off, but she lays him out. Rhea grabs Nia by the head and slams it on the contract. She smothers her face in the contract as she starts yelling at her to kiss that. Rhea then drags Nia over the table and hits the riptide through the table. She picks up the contract, signs it, and drops on Nia, telling her to shove it up her hole. End segment. Main event, Finn Balor versus Gunther. I'm not going to even try to book this one. It's never happened before. You know it's going to be amazing. In the end, though, Gunther hits Finn with a power bomb. Dom jumps up on the apron, and Gunther sees him and then dares him to step into the ring. Dom decides that's not a good idea, drops off the apron, to which Gunther picks Finn up, power bombs him one more time, and pins him for the victory. As he is having his hand raised, Dom tries a sneak attack on Gunther, but he sees it coming and then chops the absolute soul out of Dom's body. Gunther stands tall in the ring as Dom wiggles around on the ground below. NXT, Drew approaches HBK backstage and asks who it's going to be. HBK tells Drew that the person he has chosen will come find Drew when he gets here. End. Lexis King versus Grayson Waller. Grayson cuts a promo before the match talking about how much it sucks to be forced to come down to NXT to beat up Kurt Cobain. Good match in the end. Grayson is on the outside and is about to go for the rolling in the ring stunner, but Dijak comes from out of nowhere and hits boots him in the face without the ref seeing it. He rolls him in the ring, and Lexus hits his dire promises neck breaker on Waller to pick up the win. End match. Drew comes down during the main event between Dijak and Johnny Gargano. He claymores Gargano. Dijak and Drew stare each other down for a moment before Dijak leaves. Drew says he's tired of waiting and wants to know who the hell he's facing. Dragunov's music hits, and he comes to the ring. NXT holy shit chants. A very close face-to-face with both men staring intensely at each other as the show comes to a close. SmackDown, November 24th. Sami Zayn starts to show in the ring. He says he doesn't have a reason to be here as far as work goes, but he has to talk to his friend, his brother. He's been calling him all week and not getting an answer. Kev, I know you're back there, and I'm not even here to try and talk you out of it. I just got to know why, man. KO comes out. Sami holds his hands up, and you see him mouth, why? Kevin looks around for a moment before grabbing the mic from Sami. Sami, this has nothing to do with you, and I'm sorry, but I'm here because of Cody. I'm here because of Jey Uso. I know those guys are your friends now, and you're just caught in the middle, so all I can say is that I'm sorry. But you even said so yourself last month when I got sent over here. It sucks, man. We had a good thing going, and then just like that, it ended. It's all Jey and Cody's fault. Sami mouths to Kevin, that's not true, man. But it is true, Sami. Now, I know you said you weren't going to try and talk me out of the match tomorrow, and that's good because nothing is going to stop me from doing it. But maybe you should reconsider. And you know that deep down, he points to Sami's heart. That's exactly what you want to do. Kevin then drops the mic, gives Sami a hug, and exits the ring while Sami stands there watching him walk away. End segment. Alba Fire versus Tamina, third match for Team SmackDown. Alba Fire wins, and Bayley on commentary is finally happy with one of the winners. Charlotte Flair versus Io Sky for the fourth and final member of Team SmackDown. Decent match. In the end, Bayley tries to interfere, which almost costs Io. Io starts to mouth off at Bayley, and as Bayley apologizes, Charlotte goes for an attack from behind on Io, but Io sees it last second and moves. Charlotte runs into Bayley, knocking her off the apron, and then Io rolls Charlotte up and gets the win. Bayley looks shocked at first, but then plays it off like she's happy. End segment. Dom approaches Rey Mysterio backstage. Dom says he doesn't want any problems. He's not here to fight. He's made a lot of mistakes in the past, and he's looking to make good on them, and that starts tonight. Tomorrow, we're going up against Gunther, and if either one of us want any chance of winning tomorrow night, it will have to be as a team, like before. Rey says he loves his son, but he doesn't think he can trust him still. Dom reaches out for a handshake. Let's put the past behind us, Dad. Rey says he wants to think about it and leaves without shaking Dom's hand. End segment. The Bloodline, Priest and Finn come out. Roman tells Jimmy that it's nice he decided to show up. Before Jimmy can say a word, though, Roman says he doesn't want to hear it. You've been a liability since Jay left, and that's why he'll be watching from the sideline. Jimmy seems mad. Roman then tells Finn and Priest that they better make good on their promise when this whole business arrangement was made. We don't make deals with anyone, and it would be a real shame if this thing went sideways. Roman turns his attention to Solo. Damian looks down at his briefcase as Roman turns around, and Jimmy notices this and grins. Roman tells Solo that he's counting on him to not only make sure SmackDown wins, but that Solo goes on to win the Royal Rumble so the Bloodline can run all of WWE once again. Finn and Priest look at each other in the background. KO's music hits. He comes to the ring and stands right in front of Roman. He says, look, I want to tell you, Roman, face to face, that you have my word. Tomorrow night, you can trust me. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm not showing up tomorrow looking to win because I honestly could care less. But what I do want to do is hurt some people. I want to hurt the people who took everything from me. I haven't felt much of anything since I was traded to SmackDown, and I need this. I don't like you. I don't like them, points to Judgment Day, but I really don't like Jey Uso, and from the pit of my stomach, I loathe Cody Rhodes. I need them both to feel my pain, and that's exactly what is going to happen. It just so happens that we both want the same thing, and that's why this is going to work. He points to himself and Roman. But once this is all over with, we have unfinished business, and I'm telling you that as a man here right in front of you to your face. Now, can you be a man for the first time in your life and do the same? KO extends his hand for a handshake, and Roman thinks about it. He tells Kevin to acknowledge him. Kevin laughs to himself, pulls his hand back, and leaves. He walks right past Sami, who was standing on the top of the ramp watching the whole time. Roman is pissed. End show. Survivor Series card. The show opens up with Jey Uso down in the parking lot. Cody, Sami, and Knight are checking on him. What happened? He got hit by a car. Is he okay? What are we going to do? Did you see who it was? Mystery. First match, Women's Survivor Series match. This is going to be quick breakdowns of these. Bayley eliminates Thea after Io did all the work and Bayley tagged herself in. Bianca eliminates JC after Bayley ran away and tagged Bianca in. Bayley eliminates Shayna after Bianca did all the work and Bayley tagged herself in again. Asuka eliminates Zoe after Bayley ran away and tagged Asuka in again. Piper eliminates Alba Fire after Asuka tagged Alba in. Piper eliminates Cora Jade after she tried to sneak attack Piper and got destroyed. Blair Davenport eliminated Tegan Knox after Tegan tagged herself in and Piper got mad and attacked her from behind. Asuka eliminates Davenport after coming in after Tegan. A worn down Asuka is attacked by Tiffany from behind, and Tiffany eliminates Asuka. Toodles. Io tries to come in, but Bayley holds her back and says, wait. Bianca gets annoyed and enters. Tiffany tags in Piper. Bianca and Piper go back and forth for a long time, but Bianca ends up eliminating Piper after a KOD. Tiffany runs in and rolls up Bianca real quick to eliminate Bianca Belair. Bayley laughs and points at Bianca as Io is getting in the ring. Io sees that and tags Bayley in, much to the shock of Bayley. Io says, "Go." As Bayley pleads with Io about what's wrong, Tiffany rolls up and eliminates Bayley as well. Io shrugs her shoulders as Bayley looks pissed. Io then enters and Tiffany tags in Chelsea. Chelsea is terrified. Io very easily eliminates Chelsea. Tiffany and Io then have an amazing back and forth that goes about 5 to 6 minutes, with Io eliminating Tiffany Stratton in the end, giving Team SmackDown the advantage at the Royal Rumble. Bayley comes in to celebrate with a less than enthused Io Sky. Backstage, Dom approaches Ray again. He asks Ray if he's thought about what he asked him. Ray says he has, but it still doesn't trust him. Dom says he understands and that he'll show him. Tonight, you can have the honor of pinning Gunther. I'll stand by. Dom attempts to shake hands again, but Ray just walks off. Next up, Drew McIntyre versus Ilya Dragunov. You like realness, you like brutal offense. This is exactly what you're getting with these two. In the end, Ilya he pushes Drew to the absolute limits and almost picks up the win at one point after hitting the Torpedo Moscow, but Drew fights back, hits his Claymore, hits a second Claymore, and then picks up the win over Ilya. Show of respect after the match as they share a handshake. Triple threat. Gunther versus Rey Mysterio versus Dirty Dom to see who is the king of the mid-card titles. Match starts and Dom immediately leaves the ring. Rey and Gunther go at it and Gunther just dominates. Dom enters the ring and jumps Gunther from behind, but quickly gets dominated by Gunther. Rey takes advantage and attacks Gunther from behind. Dom comes back and starts to help Rey as they double team Gunther. Gunther fights them off several times, but they just keep coming back. Gunther goes for a clothesline on Dom. Dom ducks it, and Rey connects with a drop toe hold that sends Gunther to the middle rope. Rey and Dom look at each other. They signal for the 619, and they hit a double 619 on Gunther. Dom signals for Rey to go up top to hit Gunther with the frog splash, and Dom stands back in the other corner. Rey goes up, and he comes off the top with the frog splash. 1, 2, frog splash to the back of Rey from Dom. He betrayed his dad once again. He then rolls Rey off of Gunther and pins Gunther. 1, 2, kick out. Dom is shook. He goes up top for a frog splash where he is going to aim for Rey again this time, but Gunther is back on his feet. He chops Dom completely out of the air, and then Dom rolls out, just squirming like a fish again. And then Gunther throws, then he picks up Rey Mysterio and power bombs him to pick up the win. Men's Survivor Series match. Gable eliminates Waller first. Theory tries to jump Gable from behind, but gets rolled up. Gable eliminates Theory. Theory and Waller are pissed. They just
2-minute warning, Jim.
And starts to attack Gable from behind before DIY chases them off. Dijak eliminates Johnny Gargano. Lashley eliminates Brutus Creed. Lashley eliminates Ciampa. Montez eliminates Corbin. King eliminates Montez after running and attacking Montez behind. Ludwig runs in, but Lexus tags in Dijak. Dijak puts... You know what? I'm just going to the end because I'm running out of time. In the end, it comes down to Dijak and Solo Sikoa. But Dawkins comes out and hits Solo in the back with a chair while the ref wasn't looking, allowing Dijak to pin Solo and pick up the win for NXT. They show Jay getting into an ambulance and then ask Cody what he's going to do. Rhea Ripley absolutely destroys Nia Jax in the Women's Championship match after hitting 3 Riptides. Men's War Game. KO and Sammy start the match. They face off, shrug their shoulders, and start laying in hands. Priest is next. Sammy has the upper hand. Priest comes in, KO stands by and watches. Knight comes in next and starts going after KO. Finn is next. He comes in. Priest and Sammy, who just got control back quickly, but they lose it again because of Finn. Cody is next. Cody leaves Knight, exits the cage, and meets Cody on the outside. They fight through the crowd. Knight and Sammy gain the advantage on Finn and Priest. In comes Roman Reigns. With no Jay, it's 4-on-3, but the clock ticks down anyway. Bloodline takes control. The clock hits 0. Nobody comes out. AJ Styles' music hits, and he comes in out. Roman looks pissed. He comes in, cleans house. They show backstage. Owens hitting a pop-up powerbomb on Cody through a table while Jimmy Uso cheers him on. Kevin makes his way back to the ring, climbs the cage as all six men in the ring are brawling. He hits a swanton on the pile, taking everyone out. Team Bloodline takes complete control with Priest and Finn beating down AJ and LA Knight. In the other ring, Roman is about to pick up Sammy, but the crowd goes crazy. Out from the back comes Cody Rhodes. He points the ring, and Roman is scared. But from behind, Jimmy Uso clubs him in the bad leg with a pipe. Roman picks up Sammy, holds him up by the hair, and stretches KO to finish him. KO refuses. Roman tells him if he wants another shot at the Tribal Chief, he'll do it. KO hesitates. He screams to acknowledge him to KO. KO gives Roman the 2-finger salute and then stunner to Sami Zayn. He then pins Sammy as he looks up at Roman. 1, 2, 3, winner, Team Bloodline. KO gets up and exits the ring as Roman and Judgment Day stand.
5, 4,
Done.
3, 2, 1, 0. Unmute everybody.
Well done, sir.
That, I believe, Jim, was your magnum opus.
That was a phenomenal booking.
That was incredible.
I got nervous when you flipped around the results of Crown Jewel because I'm like, ooh, I didn't know that was allowed, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna be so thrown off.
I had an entire
intentionally
sheet
started
of
it at
notes
Crown
for
Jewel
this.
for that reason.
Right. I'll go first. Remember, gents, 3 points maximum. Jimmy, 3 points. 3 points. Just you hit everything. The beats of the matches. The beats of the matches. You took into account what's happened in WWE now, but you changed the necessary bullshit. Brilliant booking of Solo. Brilliant booking of the Street Profits. I really like what you did with Angelo Dawkins hitting him with the chair at the end. Kevin Owens' part fit Kevin Owens' character perfectly. Cody. Well, I'll let you get away with what you did to Cody.
It's the draw that Roman Cody fight out.
I know.
Roman was scared. It
was really good. Anyway, so 3 points from me. Matty?
I'm definitely going to go high here. 2.85. I love the surprise with AJ Styles as the fourth member of the team. I love that you had Drew kick out of the Torpedo Moscow because they have yet to have someone do that in NXT. So I love that. Have, a main roster guy kick out of it. You did phenomenal with Lexus King. I will say you did fantastic with building him up the right way.
Okay.
The right way. And giving Kevin Owens a perfect reasoning for why he joined Team Bloodline. 2.85. You did very good here.
I'm gonna go with like 2.8. So I'm right there with Maddie. First of all, I enjoy what they've done with Lexus King so far. So aside from his weird beard thing that he's got going on, because it looks like it's painted on. Anyway, by the way, the catchphrase "do unto others and enjoy it." That's amazing, and I am stealing that. The Gunther versus Finn thing that almost could have gotten overlooked. Like, I looked it up while you were going. They've never faced each other one-on-one.
That's why I'm going to try and explain it.
So my only criticism there is I would rather see that on a pay-per-view. But that's minor. I guess my thing is I'd rather see it with a pay-per-view and a longer build to it, but still. And then I wasn't sure about the whole KO thing, about him and Sammy again and stuff like that, but that ending was pretty damn good. So the flip.
Oh, that ending.
Yeah, the flip off and then hitting Sammy. Good stuff. So overall, very, very nice. There's other stuff I could go into here, but you didn't say yeet once. I did have to take off
He did say yeet. He did say it once.
Okay.
I fucking hate the word, but I did say it once.
Honestly, I'd rather hear people going yeet instead of what. Give me some yeets and some yes instead of what.
We have to move on, gents, because we have a show to run. And run out of time as it is.
Sorry.
So, Jimmy, that gives you 7.65 for round one. Okay, Captain, are you ready?
I am ready.
The floor is yours in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm going to present this a little bit differently than I normally do. Rather than a build-up, I'm going to give you the match and then tell you how we got there. Our first match at Survivor Series this year, it is going to be AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. AJ makes his comeback at the November 11th SmackDown. He comes out and says, "You know what? I'm glad to be back. I don't know how much longer I've got, but I want to make sure that everything I do from here on out is going to be the best that I have ever produced, that I have ever given you folks. And with Survivor Series coming up, I want to face the absolute best that I possibly can. So if there is anybody at all on the WWE roster who wants to give the Phenomenal One a match, I accept the open challenge for Survivor Series. I hear voices in my head. Randy Orton comes out to a huge pop. We have not seen him in forever. He comes down to the ring. He and AJ have a promo between each other. Comes down to the fact that these guys are old hands. Randy says, I'm a 14-time world champion. You're the Phenomenal One. But I think if we both are on borrowed time, then maybe, just maybe, we should give the people what they want. You want a match? Survivor Series. Randy Orton, AJ Styles. AJ accepts. We have promos between the two on the 17th and the 24th of November, where eventually AJ is going to basically say to Randy, you know, you've had a good run. You've been a 14-time world champion, but I still kind of think that you're not all it. You're not the Viper anymore. You've lost a step. You're not as phenomenal as I am. Randy more or less replies, well, I may not be what I used to be, but I can tell you this. On any given night, I can still create magic out of nowhere. RKO to AJ Styles. Randy stands over a prone AJ. They have their match at Survivor Series. This is going to be a classic between two guys who know how to work. They're going to have essentially 20 minutes minus the intros to do what they do. AJ is going to attempt the phenomenal forearm. Randy's going to get out of the way. AJ hits his head. Randy turns around. Excuse me. Randy turns around. RKO gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Referee raises Randy's hand. AJ's down on the ground. He's wallowing. He's, upset with his defeat. Randy picks him up, gives him the handshake between two old hands, but bam, RKO again from Randy. AJ goes down and Randy gets in the corner. He gets pumped up. The punt kick to AJ. The crowd is putting a litany of boos onto Randy Orton as he has just made his great comeback, but in doing so in a very heelish sense. He is the Viper again. He is ready to take on what may be coming. Our second match at Survivor Series this year, it is going to be something I've never booked before, but I'm very curious to see just how this would go. It is going to be for the WWE Women's title. Io Sky defending against Shayna Baszler. Leading up to this, Shayna Baszler is going to be going on a tear on the Raw Women's roster. She is going to be kicking more ass than pretty much any woman we've ever seen. She is going to defeat Bayley. She is going to defeat Asuka on the November 6th and November 13th episodes, respectfully. She gets the microphone after she has defeated Asuka. She says she is the baddest woman in WWE. She wants Io Sky because she believes Io doesn't quite have it, is not all that great of a champion, and that Io Sky can hang with her. Io comes out. They have a little chat. Shayna says, I want you at Survivor Series, but I'm going to throw something in there just to prove to all these people why I am the best and you are not. I want you Survivor Series for the WWE Women's title in a submission match. So We go to Survivor Series. It is Io Sky versus Shayna Baszler. It's going to be a pretty phenomenal match between these two girls. Shayna Baszler is going to do the classic pick a body part and go to work on it. She attacks Io Sky's legs. She starts, going right after the leg all throughout the match. Io, that takes away some of her mobility. At the end of the night, it is going to be Shayna Baszler submitting Io Sky with an STF. Io Sky's reign has come to an end. Shayna Baszler is your new WWE Women's Champion. Third match on the night, it is going to be a number one contenders match for the United States Heavyweight title. The winner to meet Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble. Who are our participants? It is going to be LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa. How did we get here? Well, the Bloodline comes out on the November 17th episode of SmackDown. Roman is cutting a promo saying how, again, he handled LA Knight. He got through him just as he's gotten through everyone else. LA Knight comes out. He tells Roman he is not finished with him. He is not finished with the Bloodline. He wants some of the Bloodline's blood. Roman hands the microphone to the wise man, Paul Heyman. Heyman tells him, you had your chance and you missed it. However, there is another member of the Bloodline who just might be willing to permanently get rid of you the same way he got rid of John Cena. So how about this, Knight? If you still want some more of the Bloodline, how about you and Solo at Survivor Series? LA Knight accepts. Well, we get to the next week. That would be November 24th. Logan Paul comes out. He cuts a promo saying that while contractually he cannot participate at Survivor Series, but he does plan on being at the Royal Rumble. Well, Nick Aldis comes out and he confronts Mr. Paul and says, yes, you will be at the Royal Rumble. You will be defending that United States Heavyweight Championship. However, I don't think you're going to be too thrilled with who your opponent is going to be, because your opponent at the Royal Rumble will be the winner of LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa. We get to the match. Logan Paul comes down to join on commentary. LA Knight and Solo have a really great match. LA and Solo, two really great workers. I absolutely love these guys. LA Knight is going to have this thing won. Jimmy Uso is going to come out, interfere, super kick, hits LA Knight. Solo with the tongue and spike puts Knight down. We get a 1, 2, 3. Looks like Solo is going to be facing Logan Paul. Nick Aldis comes out and he starts conferring with the referee. He says no. Jimmy interfered. Solo is disqualified. The winner of the match, who will face Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble, is LA Knight. Solo is pissed. LA is still on the ground from the tongue and spike. Logan Paul gets up from the announce booth, gets into the ring. He and Aldis are having words with each other. LA Knight gets up, goes after Solo, takes him down. They roll on the ground fighting. And Logan Paul just grabs his belt and runs away like the chicken shit that he is. But it is set for Royal Rumble. It will be LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the U.S. Heavyweight title. Our fourth match of the night. It is going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match for the Intercontinental Championship. It is going to be Gunther defending against Austin Theory. Austin Theory has been the most mismanaged guy that WWE has. And if I'm taking the book, I have got to rehabilitate this guy. So we have the November 6th episode of Monday Night Raw. Austin Theory is going to get a win over Chad Gable. The November 13th episode of Raw, it is going to be Austin Theory getting a win over Otis. Then Austin Theory is going to get the microphone, and he is going to clamor that he has not been treated well. He was supposed to be the next big thing. He was the U.S. champion. Everything has been going awry. Everything is against him, and he wants his respect. Well, Gunther's music hits. Down comes Imperium. Gunther gets the mic, and he tells Austin Theory that he's been watching him his entire time in WWE. He wants to give Austin Theory the chance that he thinks that he deserves, because if he can defeat Gunther, then he will have earned the respect of not just Gunther himself, but of the WWE universe. So Gunther tells Austin Theory, I will meet you at Survivor Series. Well, November 20th episode of Raw, Austin Theory is in the ring once again. And he is going to be facing one of the members of Imperium. And it is going to be a match in which Theory absolutely dominates the guy. I wish I could think of the guy's name, but he's a side character. Austin Theory gets the win over him. Gunther comes out. He's none too happy with how Theory won the match. Theory's going to win it with the classic legs on the rope, getting the pinfall. Gunther tells Theory, I will still meet you at Survivor Series, but we are going to up the ante. 2 out of 3 falls. You can beat one of my guys one night, but can you beat me twice in one night? I don't think you can. We get to the match. It is 2 out of 3 falls, Intercontinental title. Gunther takes the first fall with the power bomb. It is 1-0 Gunther. He and Theory continue to fight on. Austin gets the second fall with A-Town down. He has pinned Gunther, but it's just the second fall. He hasn't won the Intercontinental Championship. They continue to fight on. The match is going to spill out onto the outside of the ring. The rest of Imperium is going to come down. Gunther is going to try and get them to give him some assistance here. However, it is going to go awry because they are going to accidentally hit both. He hit both Gunther and Theory with chairs. The referee has no choice at this point but to count both men out. It is a double count out. Gunther retains. However, Austin Theory has gotten a pinfall on Gunther. We are rehabilitating Austin Theory. So now we can try and get him back on his pursuit, on his quest to become the next big thing. Segment number 5. It is going to be an episode of the Grayson Waller effect. On the November 13th episode of Raw, Grayson Waller is going to appear, and he is going to say that there have been rumblings in the professional wrestling world as to who the hottest free agent is, who the big cheese is, who the guy that every promotion wants, but he is going to be the guy to get the exclusive. Miz comes out. He confronts Grayson Waller. Miz says, no, I am the top interview segment. I am the Larry King of my day. I am going to be getting this interview with the hottest free agent in all of professional wrestling. Grayson says, well, how about this? Next week on Raw, The Miz versus Grayson Waller. Whoever wins gets the interview, and the interview will be at Survivor Series. November 20th episode of Raw, Grayson Waller gets the win. He defeats The Miz, and we'll get this interview. No one knows who it's going to be. We haven't heard any hints from Grayson or The Miz as to who this is, but we get to Survivor Series. The ring is all set up for the Grayson Waller effect. He says, you know, he defeated The Miz fair and square. This is going to be his interview. And now, without any further ado, he would like to bring out the most anticipated guest in the history of professional wrestling. He points up to the runway. Down comes The Miz. Grayson is obviously shocked, none too happy. Why is Miz crashing his party again? Miz gets the mic, says, I don't care if you beat me. I don't care if you beat Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair all on the same night. I am the top talk show host in WWE, and I will be handling this interview with the top free agent in all of professional wrestling. Well, Miz and Grayson look like they are about to come to fisticuffs. They are staring each other down. And then all of a sudden, the music hits. Ba-da-da-ba-dum, ba-da-da-ba-dum. Ba-da-da-ba-dum, ba-da-da-ba-dum. Cult of personality. The roof blows off of the arena as down comes CM Punk. Both guys are standing in the ring, looking down at the aisle. CM Punk is making his triumphant return to Chicago. Obviously, the announcers are going to be going absolutely wild. Punk gets in the ring and grabs the microphone and proceeds to cut one of his all-time great promos on both of these guys. However, he says, in short, while both of you suck, I would actually prefer to speak with Grayson because, unlike Mike the Miz, Grayson actually has balls that are massive and isn't afraid to go for it. I've been the same in my own career. I've never been afraid to go for it. So, Grayson, I'm going to give you the interview. Miz gets pissed, goes after both guys. Punk is having none of it as Grayson gets knocked down. He goes after Miz, gives him the go to sleep. Music hits again. CM Punk picks up the microphone and tells the WWE Universe, I am back and I'll have more for you tomorrow night on Raw. Or Monday night. These things aren't on Sundays anymore. I grew up old school. So CM Punk is back. We get to the penultimate match. It is War Games. As everyone knows, I am a huge opponent of how they have bastardized the War Games match with the pods and not putting the top on the cage. Well, we're fixing that this year. We get to Raw November 6th. Judgment Day comes out. Damian Priest grabs the mic. His first words, he tells Cody Rhodes to get down to the ring right now. Cody comes down, gets a mic. What do you guys want to talk about? Damian Priest is fed up with Cody. He's fed up with Sammy. He's fed up with this whole situation. The Judgment Day runs WWE, and with the Judgment Day, there is no other way than to obey. Well, we're going to have a 6-man tag team match that Damian challenges Cody to. It is going to be Damian, Finn, and Dom versus Cody, Seth, and Sammy on Raw that night. It's going to be your classic TV 6-man tag match, but what's going to happen is that the finish is going to be Drew McIntyre coming down and taking out Cody, Seth, and Sammy with boots, with claymores, with everything he's got. Drew aligns himself with the Judgment Day. next week on Raw, Cody comes down and he tells the Judgment Day, well, since it looks like you and all your friends have a problem with me, myself and my friends have a problem with you. And there was a way once upon a time in which we used to sell this type of thing. I'm pretty familiar with it. My father actually came up with it. It's called War Games. So Cody formally challenges Finn, Dom, Damian, and Drew to meet at War Games with his team of Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins. But there's a little caveat to this. He says, we're not going to do this like War Games has been going on the last few years. We're going to do it Rhodes style. We're putting the top on the cage. There is no escape. We're not going to do the pods. Everyone's going to be at ringside. We're doing this old school because that's what I'm all about. That night, we have Dominic Mysterio facing Sami Zayn. Also, we have Finn Balor facing Seth Rollins. In both of these matches, it is going to be Rhea and Dom interfering in these matches, getting victories for the Judgment Day. Raw, November 20th. Cody comes out to the ring. The Judgment Day, even before Cody can get a word out, they come out themselves. Cody says, well, we do have War Games coming up, but last week, you guys couldn't seem to win a match without Mommy, without her coming down with her bitch and interfering in those matches. So I'm going to propose a stipulation here. We know Mommy is going to be out there with you guys because you guys can't do anything without her. So we are going to have an enforcer of our own. Music hits, out comes Becky Lynch. Coming back to Raw after her stint on NXT, Becky comes down and she sides with Team Rhodes, and she takes the mic and says, well, she enjoyed her run with NXT. She is glad to be back on Raw, and her first job is going to make sure that Mommy keeps her nose out of War Games. We get to War Games. 4-on-4. The cage is lowered. There's a top on it. The two sides are introduced. The classic, the coin toss. We'll happen to see, who comes in afterwards. Starting the match, going out first is going to be Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. 5-minute time limit between the two of them.
5-minute warning, Cap.
I got my timer. Thank you, Nick. Coin toss is in favor of Judgment Day. Entering second is going to be Damian Priest. 2-on-1, Finn Balor and Priest on Seth Rollins. 2-minute time period for these. After the 2-minute time period is up, it is going to be the next member of Team Rhodes coming in. It is going to be Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes in. We even the odds. After that 2-minute period is up, the Judgment Day gets the next man in. It is going to be Drew McIntyre. We have 3-on-2. McIntyre, Finn, and Damian against Seth and Sami for 2 minutes. Then Jey Uso is going to be the next man in for for Team Rhodes. We got 3-on-3. Final entrant for the Judgment Day is going to be Dominic Mysterio. Rhea sends him in, gives him the kiss on the cheek, whispers in his ear. He goes in. It is 4-on-3. The last man in is going to be Cody Rhodes. He comes in, and War Games, the match beyond, begins. They start going, all four of them are going at it. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley are going to be on each other on the outside the whole time while this is happening. Every time Rhea tries to climb up the cage. Becky's going to pull her down. They keep just having at each other. Finally, Rhea is going to get the upper hand. She's going to give Becky a forearm. Rhea's going to pass a couple of sets of handcuffs and brass knucks into the Judgment Day. However, it is going to be thwarted when Cody Rhodes, from out of the Great Eagle Pants, I guess you would call them, package of powder, hits the Judgment Day in the eyes. He and Seth go after Dom. Sammy and Jay get the handcuffs, and they handcuff Finn, Damian, and McIntyre to the cage. And Cody is going to put Dom into a camel clutch while Seth Rollins simultaneously puts him in a Boston Crab. Obviously, Dom is not going to be able to hang on, and Dom is going to surrender, submit, and the winner of Survivor Series, the War Games, is Team Rhodes after Seth and Cody submit Dom. We have we have Becky and Rhea pretty much all now set for their big program. And we finish off War Games with a Rhodes winning a classic War Games match as it was intended with his team. That is my War Games book.
Very nice, Pepper.
Well done, sir.
Very concise. Very concise for today. I love what he did with Randy. Bringing him back, using the punk kick again. Very impressed. And also putting him in the ring with AJ is always a good move because AJ Styles can have a good match with the mop. Thoroughly enjoyed the War Games match. Had a nice build. I like what he did with Rhea and Becky at the end. 2.9. Okay. Matty?
I'm going to have to give this one a 2.7. I really enjoyed it, but I will say there was one thing, and it was a lack of women's matches. We could have had one more women's match on the card, I think, because we do have at least the talent there. But other than that, I absolutely love the fact that you built everything towards the next shows. Like, you're building everything towards the future. And I absolutely love that. I love bringing back the War Games the way that you did. And I love having Cody's team win in a classic War Games style match. And I like bringing back CM Punk in Chicago. A lot of people wouldn't, but I really like that.
No,
I thought it was too obvious if I did it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you didn't do it, Jim, considering you're a bigger mark for Punk than I am.
And I did like the 2 out of 3 falls match ending the way that it did, because it does set up for, once again, another match down the road with Theory and Gunther, where maybe Theory takes the belt off Gunther.
Theory gets the pinfall, but he doesn't get the belt.
Yeah. Mr. David Andrews?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with like a 2.6. I wasn't crazy about a lot of this, actually. First of all, the creativity I 100% applaud. Did I miss something? Why were so many of the SmackDown people on Raw? Like Damage Control SmackDown, the Grayson and Theory are on SmackDown. I was just curious if did I miss something?
It was Grayson and Miz.
Right, Miz is a Raw guy, Grayson's a SmackDown guy, and then Damage Control was all on Raw. And I was just curious if it was just like not worrying about the brand split.
To be fair, WWE don't really worry about the brand split.
No, I was gonna say the brand split does not matter.
It's like whose line is it anyway? The points are all made up and it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, that was the first thing that confused me, because like Shayna versus Io sounds awesome, and like I'm 100% in favor of that. Anyway, that's fine. I'll move on. Yeah, the like LA Knight versus Solo, I love. I didn't like the idea of it ending in a DQ, because I feel like it kind of I feel like it hurts LA Knight a little bit to back into that title shot. But and then moving on here, like, now I'm not a fan of Punk, so I'll just skip that. And then like I would have preferred to see kind of the same thing as Maddie. I would have preferred to see another women's match. I would have preferred to see a women's War Games match. As far as the War Games thing, I don't mind the no roof on the cage. And I'll tell you for your purpose specifically why I would have liked no roof. I loved having Becky out there to combat Rhea. I would have loved to have seen them after all is said and done with everybody in the ring somehow ending up in the ring as well. And that would have been something different, something we haven't seen in a long time, women interacting in a big match like that with men. I just think that would have been cool. But, I mean, overall, though, like...
Yes, but in his defense, Devin, they should have never have taken the roof off that cage.
They want them to jump off of it. That's why they do it.
We have Ricochet, damn it.
No escape.
Well, no, I
No
get it,
escape,
but also
submission, or surrender.
well, and they have the whole if you escape, you lose the match automatically. So they still have the no escape thing.
We have Ricochet, damn it.
They wanted
Well, exactly. They have Ricochet doing a double moonsault off the top. I'm good with that. But anyway, I mean, you know, it's just a difference in opinion. But overall, I thought it was good. There were just a couple of things that, like, for me, just didn't really make sense. The other thing is with the Orton thing, I don't think turning on AJ would get him a heel reaction. Not on his comeback. Like further down the line, but on his initial comeback, I think that crowd's gonna kill for him no matter what. But anyway, that's, you know, again, it's just differences of opinion. But yeah, there was. But
so that leads us with, after round one, Jimmy has a score of 8.65. Captain has a score of 8.12, meaning Jimmy takes round one. Congratulations, sir.
Well done, both of you.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
I thought that was brilliant, especially since it's the first time we've done some advanced booking as opposed to past booking.
Mhm.
But now we shall return to past booking as you gentlemen take on my favorite WCW show of all time, because it was absolutely terrible and it shouldn't have been.
It should have been the
Starcade
greatest show of all
show
time.
of all time, and it just wasn't. Starcade 1997. Right, gentlemen, Cap, heads or tails?
Heads.
It is tails. Jimmy, first or second?
First, baby.
All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just get the screen done. Okay, Jim. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 20 minutes. Go.
We're opening up with a cruiserweight title match. It is going to be a four-way, though. We have Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko versus Prince Iaukea versus the Ultimo Dragon. Dean Malenko spends the majority of this match going after the legs of his competitors to try and ground them and get the advantage. You see a lot of fast-paced four-way chain wrestling that doesn't give any man time to rest. As the match starts to slow down in the second half, though, once Dean's kind of started to wear in on them legs, you see Eddie start to leave the ring a lot to set up sneak attacks. Malenko goes for a Texas Cloverleaf on Iaukea, and there's Eddie to hit a drop kick on the back of his head. When Ultimo Dragon puts the Dragon Sleeper on Malenko, Eddie's there to pull Malenko out of the hold, out of the ring, and then into the steps. Prince Iaukea, though, catches on to this, and when he hits a big crossbody on Ultimo Dragon, he goes for the pin, but moves out of the way as Eddie comes flying over the top with a springboard senton. Eddie lands on Dragon, and as he gets up and turns around, Prince Iaukea hits him with a big springboard crossbody and goes for the pin, but he only gets two. Eddie pleads with Prince. He gets up once Prince gets up, and he starts to plead with the Prince to show mercy, but he backs into Malenko. He then drops down to his knees and begs for mercy from both men. Ultimo Dragon has finally reached his feet, and all three men start to back Eddie into the corner for being a very cowardly champion. They then unleash with stomps to Eddie in the corner until he flops out of the ring. They then revert their attention to each other as Dragon, Prince Iaukea, and Malenko go back to that fast-paced action that got the match started off. As this happens, though, they get caught up and seemingly forget all about Eddie Guerrero on the outside. Eddie pulls Ultimo Dragon out of the ring as he goes against the ropes and then tosses him over the barricades onto the wrestlers that are in attendance in that front corner. He then quickly scales the apron and then crouches down as he awaits his moment. Malenko picks up Ikea for a very high backdrop suplex, in which Eddie then flies up to the top rope. And as they are coming down, Eddie flies off the top and hits a frog splash on both men as they hit the backdrop. He then pins Prince Ikea for the 3 count to retain his Cruiserweight Championship. Next up, we have a Team WCW versus Team NWO match. First pinfall submission wins. On Team NWO, you have Macho Man, Conan, Scott Norton, and Buff Bagwell, and they will be taking on a Team WCW, which consists of Chris Benoit, Harlem Heat, and Goldberg. Goldberg was the final man added to the Team WCW after he was continuously mocked by the NWO and told to leave the real wrestling for the big boys. Booker T starts the match off against Conan. Booker T and Stevie Ray spend the first part of the match here executing perfect tag team wrestling, tagging themselves in and out as they wear down Conan. Eventually, Conan gets an opening after Scott Norton lowers the ropes on Stevie Ray, dumping him to the outside and landing awkwardly. He tweaks his leg and he has to leave for the back, making it a 4-on-3 affair. Booker comes in and Macho Man tags himself in. Macho Man uses his experience here and the NWO takes over. They taunt Goldberg throughout the match, which causes him to try and enter the ring a lot, which distracts the refs and allows the NWO to double team on Booker T a lot. Booker T is finally able to catch Buff Bagwell with a high kick after reversing Bagwell into the ropes. With both men down, they struggle to make the tag. Macho Man jumps off the apron and flies around the corner to pull Goldberg off the apron to avoid him getting tagged. Booker then tags in Benoit and Bagwell tags in Norton. Goldberg starts to chase Macho Man, but has to think about it and stop himself before going back to his corner. Norton and Benoit exchange blows in the middle with some chops and some right hands, but Norton gains the advantage here. NWO then begins to pick NWO apart, much like the same way as they taunt Goldberg, allowing the double teams to come in as Booker is completely out of it on the outside. Bagwell was tagged in and was showboating, which gave Benoit the chance to get enough of his self back to duck a clothesline, and then they hit a double arm clothesline on Bagwell, which just rips Bagwell's head off. Booker is still exhausted on the apron. Conan runs around and he tries to pull Goldberg off the apron, much like Macho Man, but Bill saw it coming this time, drops down and hits a spear on Conan on the outside, which takes him out. He then jumps back up on the apron and reaches over for the tag. Bagwell tags in Norton and Benoit tags in Goldberg. Goldberg flies in and starts dropping rights and lefts on Norton. He hits him with a kick. He hits him with a suplex. He then whips Norton into the ropes. Scott reverses it, though, and sends Goldberg into the ropes. But as Goldberg comes back, he spears Norton out of his boots. The crowd erupts. Conan is now slowly pulling himself back into the ring, but he's completely still woozy. He turns around right into Goldberg, who picks him up into a gorilla press position. He drops him down with a power slam. He then flexes for the hard cam. Macho Man starts to enter the ring, but Goldberg stares over at him, which causes Macho Man to second guess that and step back out onto the apron. Goldberg then picks Norton up by his hair. He lifts him up to the jackhammer and holds him up for a second while still staring at Savage, and then slams him down for the jackhammer. He then stares at Macho Man while the ref counts 1, 2, 3. Team WCW is your winner. Macho Man drops off the apron and leaves his boys behind. Next up, we have Raven versus Lex Luger in a Raven's Rules match, because I am here to make sure that Raven is not treated like a fucking joke. Apologize for the language. This match is happening after weeks of Luger being jumped by the flock. Luger finally won an opportunity to face Raven at Starrcade after he won a handicap match against Sick Boy and Lodi. Luger is in the ring. Raven sends in Sick Boy. Luger takes him out pretty quickly, but Raven attacks him from behind. He starts stomping Luger down in the ring for a moment before pulling him up by the hair and dumping him out onto the floor. Raven then sits down in the corner as Kidman and Scotty Riggs double team Luger on the outside and throw him into the steel steps. They roll Luger into the ring, and then Raven gets up and starts to pick Luger up. But as he does, Luger breaks free and starts throwing right hands. Saturn flies in from behind at Luger in the back, and Raven then exits the ring. Luger and Saturn go back and forth. As Lex picks Saturn up for the torture rack, Raven comes in the ring, but Lex drops him because he sees him and hits a flying club to Raven. Raven stumbles up, and then Lex hits him with a clothesline. The Raven stumbles up again, and then Lex hoists him up with a gorilla press. As Lodi jumps on the apron, Lex drops Raven and then knocks Lodi off of the apron. Kidman tries to do the same, and he gets knocked down as well. Van Hammer jumps in from behind and forearms Luger from behind, but when he sends Luger into the ropes, Lex ducks a clothesline that comes after that, and then on the comeback, he hits Hammer with the clubbing arm. Lex starts to flex as he's going for the torture rack. As this happens, Saturn slides in a chair from the outside to the center of the ring behind Lex. Raven has now gotten back up. He comes over to Lex, quickly spins him around and kicks him in the gut, hits the even flow DDT all within the blink of an eye. He then pins Lex Luger 1, 2, 3 to pick up a huge wing for Raven, which again is here to make sure he's not treated as an absolute joke in WCW. Faces of Fear versus the Steiner brothers for the tag team titles. Ming and Barbarian tag in and out and control Rick Steiner for the first half of this match. Honestly, for about 3/4 of the match. With brute strength and heavy strikes, Rick is worn completely down. Every time he hits a suplex to try and create space and time for himself to make a tag, it has no effect on Ming or Barbarian, and they go right back to the attack. Barbarian is holding Rick up, and Ming goes for a throat thrust, but Rick is able to drop down with every last bit of energy he had, and Ming hits Barbarian, which sends him out of the ring. Rick then grabs Ming by the hip and throws him into the corner. He then finally has the time to crawl over and make the tag to Scott Steiner, who comes in and starts suplexing Ming and Barbarian all over the ring. After a few minutes of just completely dominating Ming and Barbarian, he goes over and tags in Rick, who is still kind of pulling himself up on the ropes. He gets Barbarian up on his shoulders to go for the Steinerizer, but it's taking way too long. He has to put Barbarian down, and as he looks back, Rick only has one foot on the top rope because he is struggling with no energy. This allows Ming to come in, and he throws Scott into the corner, which knocks Rick crotched on the top rope, at the top corner, and then he throws Scott Steiner out of the ring. He reverts his attention to Rick Steiner. He hits the tongue and death grip on Rick while he's on the ropes. As Rick struggles to break free, Bing then yanks him off the top and then slams him onto the mat, still holding on to the death grip, and he goes for the pin. Ref counts 1. Rick's feet are kicking, but he is not strong enough to kick out. The count of 2, his legs go completely lifeless, and then the count of 3 hits just seconds before Scott Steiner can come in and make the save, and the Faces of Fear are your new tag team champions, which gives Scott Steiner all the reason to turn on Rick in the next coming month. Next up, DDP versus Kurt Hennig versus Chris Jericho for the United States title. Chris Jericho weaseled his way into the match, just like I weaseled him into this match. Jericho and Hennig reach an agreement very early on in this match, and they decide to team up on DDP. They take turns stomping DDP in the corner, mounting him on the mat, and laying in right hands, and also hitting their trademark offense. Jericho at one point hits the lion salt onto DDP and then goes for the pin, but Hennig pulls him off and tosses Jericho out of the ring. He points down and scolds at him as he turns around, he sees DDP picking himself up with the ropes. So he runs from behind and kicks his legs out from underneath him to drop him back down. Jericho slides in, spins Kurt around, and shoves him. They start to argue before Kurt smacks him across the face and then kicks him in the gut. Hennig and Jericho start to go back and forth, which allows Paige to get back up. But as soon as they notice it, they charge after him. They realize they were supposed to be working together. DDP ducks underneath that, though, hits the ropes, and comes back with a double clothesline that takes all 3 men down. As they get to their feet, though, after a few seconds, Paige starts taking turns hitting Hennig and Jericho with right hands. 1, 2, 1, 2. He finally drops Jericho, and after he drops Jericho, he hits a spinning lariat to take down Kurt Hennig. He starts to bang on the mat as he pumps himself up. He gets up and starts to work on Jericho for a little bit before sending him into the corner. He hits some shoulder thrusts, some back elbows, and then hits a massive super suplex that gets him only a 2 count once Hennig breaks it up. Hennig sends Paige into the corner and starts to hit shoulder thrust on him now. He sends DDP to the other corner and runs in to hit a big clothesline. As Paige stumbles out, Hennig hooks DDP and hits the perfect plex with bridge. 1, 2, but there's Jericho. He grabs Hennig's legs while he's in the bridge, yanks him out so that he falls down, and then puts Hennig in the lion tamer from the hook, from the bridge. Where are we at? Hennig starts to reach for the ropes, but Jericho pulls him to the center of the ropes and then starts to yell, "Bring it home, baby!" Hennig starts to fade as he holds on from tapping, but just as the ref is about to check to see if he's still conscious, out of nowhere, here comes DDP flying in with the diamond cutter to break the hold. He then pins Jericho 1, 2, 3 to become the new United States champion. Next up, Larry Zbyszko with a mystery partner taking on Eric Bischoff and Scott Hall. Zbyszko reveals the Giant to be his partner. Hall and Eric are terrified as they thought they had taken care of him a few weeks ago. Hall tries to tag in Bischoff, but he doesn't want to get in the ring while the Giant is in there. Hall then starts to plead to tag in Zbyszko, and Zbyszko is begging for it, so he gladly accepts and tags himself in. Hall and Zbyszko do a lockup that lasts for a few seconds, but then ends when Hall gets thrown back on his ass. Hall looks shocked as he sits in the corner, looking around. He cannot believe what just happened. Zbyszko starts telling, come on, let's give me some more, which then causes Hall to tag Eric in and then slide out of the ring. Eric comes in the ring and starts to dance around a bit, taunting Larry, but every time Larry comes in to go after him, Eric just jumps into the ropes to hide from him. Out of frustration, Larry turns his back and he's like, what the heck's going on here? But that gives Eric the time to hit him with a roundhouse to the back of his head. He then mounts on top of Larry and starts laying in some hands. After a few of those, he flips him over and pins him, but he only gets a 2 count. Eric then drags Zbyszko over to the corner and tags in Scott Hall, who slowly makes his way in. He walks over, throws his toothpick into the Giant's face, and then comes back to Zbyszko. He picks... where is he at? Where am I going? He finally picks Larry Zbyszko up, and he's about to hit him with a right, but Zbyszko blocks that and then hits him with one of his own. He then takes Scott Hall by the back of the head and throws him into the corner where the Giant is, and then starts unleashing rights and lefts on him while the Giant holds Hall there. The Giant then tags himself in. He starts to choke Hall in the corner. After a little bit, Eric Bischoff tries to come in and sneak attack the Giant from behind, but when he kicks him, it does nothing. The Giant turns around and then stalks Bischoff all the way back into his corner. He grabs him by the throat and pulls him out to the center of the ring as he's telling him, you're done for. He then turns around on a hunch just in time to catch Scott Hall running at him, and he grabs him by the throat as well. They struggle to get free as the Giant laughs, and then Larry cheers him on. He picks them up and hits a double choke slam. He then walks over to tag in Larry Zbyszko. Zbyszko comes in and waits around as Scott Hall is slowly starting to pick himself up, but as he gets to his hands and knees, Zbyszko goes over, grabs him, puts him between his legs, lifts him up for a pile driver. He then pins Scott Hall for the 1, 2, 3, and the victory for Larry Zbyszko and the Giant. Sting versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The bell rings, and the two men walk to the center of the ring for a face-off. Hogan starts pointing his finger in Sting's face as he trash talks him, and Sting responds with a high drop kick that takes Hogan by surprise and sends him backpedaling and stumbling out of the ring. Sting lets out a big woo as Hogan stands shocked on the outside. He takes all the time available before coming back in. He approaches Sting again and goes for the test of strength, but Sting just stares at him before planting a right hand that knocks Hogan on his ass. Hogan sits there and looks up at Sting as Sting gets right down in his face with the flex. Woo! Hulk scrambles to his feet and then looks annoyed as he gets into the corner. After a few seconds, Sting then says, come on, and he offers up the test of strength to Hogan this time. They engage. As Sting starts to get that upper hand, though, Hogan thumbs him in the eye and starts to take over. He slowly walks after Sting with each haymaker that he connects on Sting, and Sting stumbles around from corner to corner to corner. Sting ends up in one corner where Hogan starts to choke him. The ref pulls him back, and then Hogan comes back to whip Sting into the opposite corner where he charges in with a huge clothesline that drops Sting in the corner. Hogan then uses his boot to start choking Sting again until the ref breaks the hold. Hogan then flexes for the crowd while Sting slowly pulls himself back up. Hogan goes right back to work. He hits a suplex and goes for a pin, 2 count. He picks Sting up and hits another suplex, followed by another pin attempt, another 2 count. Hogan goes back to Sting and picks him up. Hogan hits a scoop slam. He hits the ropes and comes back with a big elbow drop. Pin, 2 count. Hogan looks at the ref and says that was 3 before dropping a few right hands to Sting as he holds him by the hair. He gets up and pulls Sting up with him. He throws Sting on the ropes and then hits him with a big boot. He does the ear taunt, and as this is happening, he has his back turned to Sting, and then Sting hits his infamous no sell as he stands right back up behind Hogan without him knowing. Hogan then turns around, notices it, and jumps back because he is terrified of the sight of Sting already back on his feet, ready to go. Sting lets out one more woo as he hits him with a scoop slam, and the crowd erupts. Hulk gets back up, and Sting hits him with another scoop slam. Hogan stumbles up to his feet using the ropes and staggers him over into the corner. Sting comes over and unloads on some strikes before whipping Hogan to the opposite corner and following him with a Stinger splash. He sends Hogan across the ring and hits another Stinger splash. He goes for one more, but this time Hogan pulls the ref in front of him. Ref bump. Sting grabs Hogan for the Scorpion Death Drop, but the ref is down. Out comes the cavalry. Vince comes up on the apron and Sting meets him head on and drops him with a right. Bagwell jumps on the apron and Sting ducks and close on the apron, and he gets knocked down as well immediately. Norton tries to come in from behind, but as he runs in, Sting ducks and then clotheslines Norton over the rope. Sting beats his chest out, starts to beat his chest, and then turns around and sees Hogan stumbling towards him with the title in hand. But Sting is able to duck underneath the title shot attempt and then grabs Hogan to hit him with an atomic drop. that puts Hogan down on his back. Sting still has his legs in his hand, though, and then he locks in the Scorpion Deathlock. He sits in. Hogan starts tapping immediately. The ref is still out. After a few moments, the ref finally wakes up. He crawls over to see Hogan tapping. He calls for the bell. Sting is your winner and new world heavyweight champion. WCW comes down to celebrate. Confetti falls. Fireworks go off. And that is the end of your show.
Fan-bloody-tastic, Jim.
Damn good booking.
That was loads of fun. 3 points. One, love what you did with Raven. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He was treated as an absolute joke in WCW, so it was nice to see him getting a win over Lex. The Faces of Fear taking the tag titles off the Steiners is a genius move because it gives Scott a lot more motivation to turn on Rick in a couple of months. And that was about 1,000 times better than the actual booking of Sting and Hulk Hogan.
It wasn't hard.
It was, yeah. You also got to have two wrestlers that are willing to participate.
Yes, which helps. So I will give you.
I thought you said 3.
No, I didn't say anything yet.
I thought you did too.
No, yeah. I'm not that generous to give out 2 3s in one night set. I will give you a 2.9.
All right, Maddie.
That was fantastic. And I do love that because I'm a huge Raven mark. Absolutely huge Raven mark. I'm going to give this a 2.8 because I also really loved what you did with the triple threat. You booked my favorite style of a triple threat match. And with the participants involved, absolutely loved it. So 2.8 overall.
Devin?
I'm going to go with trying to look over here real quick, see if there's anything. I got to go with with a 2.9, and honestly, it might be a 3, but there's one thing, and you know what it is that.
It's a certain Chris Benoit shape.
There's a certain child murderer that I'm not a fan of, but at least you didn't have him win. Well, I guess you did, but you know what I mean. At least it wasn't like a singles match and you had to win a title or something.
I let him get his ass.
Opening 4-way. Interesting choice on Prince Iakea. Not mad at it, just interesting. I didn't expect that. I love the way that was booked with Eddie kind of creeping in for the win at the end, especially the frog splash over both of them. Brilliant. And then the 8-man tag was good stuff. I'll be honest, it's not just that guy. I'm not a fan of most of the people in that match. So I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing the booking. It's just but I guess I'm gonna have to go back and watch some WCW because I didn't think Raven was treated that poorly. At least not the whole time. I thought he started off great with building the flock and all that stuff.
Yes, he started great, but it fell off a cliff fast.
Yeah. But anyway, love that match. Love him getting a win over Lex. This is interesting because when you said it, when you said Faces of Fear, versus the Steiners, I started thinking, I was like, did that match ever actually happen? And I looked it up. 5 times on TV, all in 1997, and Faces of Fear actually won 3 of them. Never for the title on TV, though. But anyway, so it would have been great to have seen them get a proper match because everything was on like Nitro or WCW Pro or Saturday Night. So so love that, and plus like you said, it kind of builds to the Steiner story after the fact. Triple threat, love all 3 of the guys. Hennig, you said Hennig went over, right?
No, DDP won.
It's DDP won. Okay, yeah. I mean, with where DDP was at the time, that's perfect. Love the Zbyszko Giant match. Couple of things in there I may not have done, but nothing egregious. And then the main event, really, you could have said that they walked in and Sting the finger poke of doom, and it would have been all right. That's funny. We both went there. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. 2.9. Well done, sir.
Right. That is a total of 8.6 for you, Jimmy, for round 2. Captain, are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
Right. Your book for Starrcade 1997 starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 20 minutes. Go.
We are going to start out with a match for the WCW Cruiserweight title. However, we are going to do a bit of addition by subtraction here, unfortunately. There will be no Prince Iakea. It will be a triple threat match between Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and the Ultimo Dragon. Obviously, can't go wrong with any of these three. Guerrero is going to execute the frog splash on Malenko, and as he goes to cover him, Dragon breaks it up, puts on the Dragon Sleeper. Malenko breaks that up, goes to put the cloverleaf on the Dragon, or pardon me, goes to put the cloverleaf on Guerrero. Dragon comes back in, puts the Dragon Sleeper on Malenko as he has the cloverleaf on Guerrero. Malenko taps. Ultimo Dragon is your new WCW Cruiserweight Champion. Goldberg versus Steve McMichael. I kind of like this because, two former football players, and I thought this was a good way to kind of get Goldberg into things. Goldberg is going to have a fairly quick win here over McMichael. Classic, Goldberg 3-4 minute match. Third match of the night, Raven versus Chris Benoit. Raven's rules. It is going to be one of those matches where it looks like every time Raven has Benoit gets out of it, and eventually the flock are going to start coming into the ring. Benoit is going to try to fight them off. He will be unsuccessful. Ultimately, they will beat him down and beat him down. Raven hits the even flow DDT. Again, Raven's rules. 1, 2, 3. Raven goes over Chris Benoit, but to add insult to injury, the Raven is going to actually tie up Chris Benoit to the ropes with a couple of sets of handcuffs, and the flock are going to absolutely beat him to a pulp, to the point where security has to come out and get them away. Benoit has to be helped out. This is going to set up a great feud for later in the spring. Match number 4. Kevin Nash versus the Giant. Giant's going to come out first. Kevin Nash is going to come out second. However, Nash is going to have his arm in a sling. Nash is, coming out kind of gingerly. He gets to the ring. The referee's wondering what's going on. Nash looks at Dave Pinzer, the ring announcer, asks for the microphone, tells the Giant as much as he would like to, be able to defeat him in front of the world tonight. He's injured. He's unable to participate, and the Giant is just going to have to wait for his chance to do it. Giant takes the microphone and says, "I'm not buying it. You're a coward. Your arm's not really hurt. Everybody in here knows it." Nash gets the mic back and says, "No, I'm legitimately hurt. I've got a note. I've got a note from my doctor." He reaches into the elbow sling, pulls out a rod of steel, whacks the Giant over the head, rips off the sling. He's not hurt at all. Referee calls for the bell to signal the start of this thing. He and the Giant are going to have a nice little back and forth, beating the living hell out of each other. But ultimately, it's going to come down to a double DQ as Nash is going to push the referee down. He and the Giant are going to be wailing on each other. Down comes Doug Dillinger and WCW security trying to separate these two. It is clear there is more to be done here, but it's not going to be tonight. But double DQ, this match gets thrown out. Match number 5, Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth versus Lex Luger. These two were having a nice little, these two had a nice little go in the winter of '95. We're getting back to it here. Luger is going to pick Savage up to put him in the torture rack. As he does, Savage's foot hits the referee. Referee takes the bump. Luger has Savage up in the torture rack. Savage is tapping, but there's no referee to call it. Miss Elizabeth grabs a can of pepper spray out of her boot, jumps up on the apron, sprays Luger in the face with the pepper spray. Luger and Savage go down. Savage takes advantage of the opportunity, goes up to the top rope, hits his elbow as Liz is waking up the referee. He's holding Luger down, Luger has his hands on his eyes. His eyes are burning. 1, 2, 3. Savage gets the win here. But obviously there's going to be more to come. WCW US heavyweight title. I'm not messing with this. It's DDP and Kurt Hennig. This was the best match of the night. DDP and Hennig had a classic, and this is the one match of the night I am not going to mess with. DDP is your new US heavyweight champion. Always loved him and Kurt's work. Match number 7. The little bit of build up to this is that Scott Hall and Eric Bischoff challenged Larry Zbyszko to face them in a tag team match at Starrcade, putting Nitro on the line. And basically, Eric dared anyone on the WCW roster to join Larry as his partner. We get to Starrcade. Down comes Scott Hall and Bischoff. They're standing in the ring. Eric's in his karate gear, what have you. Larry Zbyszko comes down to the ring alone. Bischoff grabs the microphone and says, "Well, Larry, were you able to find anyone? I'm guessing you didn't, since you came down here alone. But I will give you one more chance. If there's anyone on the WCW roster who wants to be this man's partner, feel free to come on down. But have this in the back of your mind. I'm the president of WCW, and anyone on the active roster who joins this man will be fired." Zbyszko takes the microphone and says, "Well, you know, Eazy-E, I'm glad you phrased that exactly the way that you did, because I do have a partner, and he is not presently on the WCW roster. In fact, he is not presently on any roster. Ladies and gentlemen, my tag team partner, Bret the Hitman Hart." The MCI Center absolutely erupts. The biggest free agent in pro wrestling comes down to the ring. He is going to be Larry Zbyszko's partner. The match goes, it's going to be the majority of Bret and Hall. They're obviously two of the best workers in history, handling the bulk of the match. Larry and Eric are going to get their shots in. Eventually, the finish for this match, Bret and Scott are going to go down on the outside. They are the two legal men. They are not in the ring. Larry and Bischoff start going at it inside of the ring. Bischoff, is hitting his karate moves. He puts Zbyszko down. He goes for the pin. The referee's like, "Hey, you guys aren't the legal men. This can't happen." Larry gives Bischoff a good old-fashioned elbow right to the mush, gets up, gives him a few quick shots. At this point, Bret and Scott get back into the ring. Right as Larry is getting Bischoff in the guillotine choke, Bret takes Hall down with the double leg whip. Sharpshooter applied. Both Bischoff and Hall are tapping. And since Hall's the legal man, the match is over. Bret Hart and Larry Zbyszko are your winners. WCW retains control of Nitro. And Bret Hart is actually brought in a way that doesn't suck. The big one, WCW World Heavyweight title, Sting versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the match we have been building to for 18 months. Sting and Hogan, first part of the match, it's going to go pretty much as it did. However, here is the finish that should have happened. Hogan goes for the leg drop. Sting gets out of the way. Hogan's nursing his sore ass. Sting gets up, clothesline, the famous Sting face plant bulldog. Hogan is staggered. Sting gets Hogan in the Scorpion Death Drop, puts him down. 1, 2. Hogan gets out just at 7 8/8. Sting's looking at the referee, thinking it was a slow count. This whole time, Hogan is kind of rolling, away from Sting. And then we get the troops, Nash, Hall, and Savage running down to the ring, but being trailed close by the Steiner brothers and Lex Luger. The Steiner brothers, if you recall, the Great American Bash 1990, were part of the Dudes with Attitudes who were there to make sure no one fucked with Sting when he faced Ric Flair at Great American Bash 1990. So you got the Outsiders and Savage running down, followed closely by the Steiners and Luger. They, right as the NWO is about to get into the ring, Steiners and Luger pull them down, and we've got a Donnybrook going on the outside. It is absolute chaos. However, the match is still going on. Sting sees his buddies on the outside, goes down, trying to help them out, fend off NWO members, as we also get Norton, Bagwell, Vincent, those guys coming down. Hogan rolls out of the ring, goes to the timekeeper's table, grabs the World Heavyweight title belt, and he starts just walking out. He's walking down the ring. And as he's doing this, referee Nick Patrick is starting the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sting recognizes this. He looks up and he sees Patrick about to count Hogan out. As Hogan's walking out, Sting runs around the ring, grabs Hogan by the back of his hair, starts pulling him back towards the ring, slides him in just before the 10 count. The match is still going on. Sting beats his chest, the big comeback, the chops, the kicks. He is laying in on Hogan. He throws him into the corner. Stinger splash, throws him to the other corner. Stinger splash. Hogan just collapses face down. Sting turns him over. He's going to put on the Scorpion Deathlock. He points at Nick Patrick. He's turning Hulk over. He's got Hulk down. Scorpion Deathlock. It is locked in. Hogan is absolutely giving up. Nick Patrick kind of subtly but sheepishly calls for the bell. The match is over. WCW and Sting have reclaimed the world title. They have laid out the NWO on the outside. Steiners, Luger, Giant, everybody comes into the ring. Hogan rolls out. We have the confetti, no mamacita. And Sting has reclaimed the world title for WCW. And that is how you do a crazy finish without the referee not being able to know how to execute a fast count. You just do it like that.
Sir, brilliant.
That was
very, very good.
It was very quick, but very good.
Yes, very quick, but very good. Traditional as hell, Cap, which is back from you in WCW, so I appreciate that. I like the fact that you left Kurt and DDP the way it was. That's my favourite match from the show. Well, it's everybody's favourite match from the show. It's the only one that was any good.
Eddie versus Dean was good.
Okay, Eddie versus Dean was good.
Eddie versus Dean was good, but I love that y'all added.
I can't not use Ultimo Dragon.
I love that
He's on the
both of you
roster.
guys used Dragon. I love that both of you guys used Ultimo Dragon.
Yes, so do I. 2.95 from me, Cap. Just because you did such a good job with Hogan and Sting at the end, that's pretty much how I would have booked that match. So 2.95 from me. Matty?
My only gripe with this was leaving DDP and Hennig the way it was. You didn't. It was a great match. It was a fantastic match, but the fact that you didn't touch it in any way, shape, or form,
need it.
It's the only drawback from me. I am exactly the same with Nick here, 2.95.
All right, so yeah, I loved what you did for the most part. I particularly love the part where Murder McMurderson got the shit beat out of him at the end. So I'm good with that.
My beverage went in my nose.
Honestly, I was, as you were saying it, I was like, he knew I was judging.
No, that Devin's sitting there going, yeah, hit him harder,
yeah, kill him. Anyway, Nash versus Giant double DQ. I don't mind that because I don't mind their occasional double DQ or draw for some reason. I think it's a lost art in wrestling, particularly like a time limit draw. But Let's see here. Savage versus Elizabeth Savage versus Elizabeth.
Which was an actual match. And that was a
Elizabeth, but, Savage.
That was a shoot real match in real life.
Yeah. This is the 90s. They could have done it for Elizabeth, and anyway, either way wouldn't have worked out well. But I actually liked that you left the U.S. title match alone. And it's not even necessarily because I love the match so much. I liked that you did because I thought it was a bold move to say, yes, my whole point here is to rebook something, but that was so good, I'm leaving it alone. I appreciate that. Like I said, the guts to do that. And then Larry Zbyszko with Brett. I got to be honest, I preferred the Giant. But I get the use of Brett and everything. I did want to ask a question though. You said during the triple threat for the Cruiserweight title that Malenko's got Eddie in the Cloverleaf, and then Ultimo Dragon goes for the Dragon Sleeper. So
on Malenko.
On Malenko. Okay, that's where I was confused. I was like, if you put it on Eddie, they're both submitting him. No, totally got it now.
Yeah.
And
because Malenko has to be on his knees, and that's perfect prone position for a Dragon Sleeper.
Right. No, I totally get it now. I actually came up with a double submission like finisher for somebody, but I won't get into that now. It's a totally different story. Sting defeating Hogan, of course, you've got to keep it that way. A bit overbooked for my taste.
Don't be ridiculous, Devin. That was classic WCW.
It was classic WCW.
I wanted the tie-in between the Steiner brothers, who helped him held off the Horsemen to help him win his first world title, and then they are here to help him again to defeat Hogan.
As long as the
7 years apart.
Told that, I would like it more, certainly. As long as the announcers are like, oh, just back in 1990, they had his back. That said, like I said, well, isn't the whole point here is like, because you said, oh, they treated Raven like crap, so we're not booking that way. So it's kind of you trying to play both ways. That said, a little overbooked for my taste, but it still was entertaining. I'm gonna give you a 2.95. You get the extra 0.5 for the child killer thing. So I really
glad to know me booking ahead for the spring helped me out there.
Yep. As long as he just gets crippled, literally.
Right. Well, that gives you, if my maths is right, Captain, 8.85.
I believe Captain took this round.
So Captain gets round 2.
Oh, this is going to be another.
Where was this cat just come from? Bring this cat back.
Oh, bring the cat back. Bring the cat back, Nick said.
Okay.
Blofeld needs to see the kitty.
Say hello to Miss Rain.
Hello. Oh. Hello, Rain.
Nicholas says hello, baby.
Last night I was hosting karaoke, and I've never had a crowd that was like a full crowd, but nobody paying attention. And some singer was like, oh, I should have sang a different song. Nobody was paying attention. I was like, it doesn't matter. I said, let me prove it to you. I got on the microphone and said, I hate dogs. I don't hate dogs.
Nobody paid attention.
Nobody even flinched. I'm like, seriously? Never had anything like it. Anyway, let's move on. We've got one more.
We have one more round. We have to full gear is fast approaching, so we need to get this done.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. We are doing the final Nitro. These gentlemen will be going segment for segment, just like it was in episode 1. Jimmy, you're going to start.
All right.
Okay, we have 15 minutes, and your time starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jimmy, go.
Show starts off. Vince McMahon isn't on the telecast. He is at the show because that's what should have freaking happened. He's too much of an egomaniac not to be there on Nitro. So he walks out. He stands in the middle of the ring. He talks about how he has dreamt of this day for so long, not standing here in a WCW ring or in a town like Panama City Beach, but standing here with the fate of this godforsaken company in the palm of his hands. Ted Turner isn't here now, but he will be on his way. And once he gets here, he'll walk his ass down to this ring and sign the company over to me in the center of the WCW ring for the whole world to see. And then that's the end of that segment.
All right. My go here. We are starting the show out with the WCW Cruiserweight title. Shane Helms versus Chavo Guerrero. Absolutely refuse to take either of these two guys out of the card. I love Hurricane Helms. I love Shane Helms. I love Chavo. Shane Helms is going to retain the Cruiserweight title here. But yeah, I'm leaving this particular match as it was because this is one of the few matches on the card I really enjoyed.
Okay. Jimmy, segment 3, please.
Diamond Dallas Page makes his way out to the ring and says he's not sad that it happened because he's far too happy about what it was. He puts over Dusty Rhodes for giving him the chance, and then he puts over Macho Man for being a great rival to get him to that next level. And he says he doesn't know if this is the end of the line for him, but if he had it his way, this dog won't be getting put down anytime soon. And even though he doesn't have a match tonight, there was no way he was going to miss this event. So for the rest of the evening, I'm going to be amongst my people, the people that made my career happen, the fans. He then points to the crowd and does the whole DDP 360 spin that he always does. He points to the crowd before stopping in the center of the ring. The camera zooms in as he puts up the diamond fingers, and then bang. His music hits, he exits the ring, and then he jumps the barricade where he takes a seat, and that's where he's going to watch the rest of the show as the People's Champion with the People end segment.
Nice. Cap, segment 4, please.
WCW Tag Team titles. Love that they put the belts on the Natural Born Thrillers. Sad that they didn't get the run that they should have. They're going to be facing Team Canada here. I'm going to give this match a lot more time than they did on the actual show. Lance Storm and Mike Awesome deserved better than what they got here. Ultimately, the Natural Born Thrillers are going to take the W, but we're going to give this match a good 10, 15 minutes because you had two great up-and-coming workers, and who better to make them look great than Lance Storm?
Agreed. Jimmy, segment 5, please.
All right, I'm going segment heavy since he's doing match heavy. Scott Steiner walks out with the World Heavyweight Championship. He says he refuses to be a puppet for that son of a bitch Vince McMahon, and as far as he's concerned, he can shove this title right up his ass like a true traditional Big Papa Pump would. He then drops the title in the middle of the ring, hits a little of that, and then storms out of the ring, and that's the last you see of Scott Steiner end segment.
Cap, segment 6.
Segment 6, title for title. WCW World title versus the U.S. Heavyweight title. Booker T versus Scott Steiner. This match was given 5 minutes. It should have been given 20. Booker could go. Scott, even at this point in his career, could go. He had just proved that a few weeks prior against DDP. Going to give these guys a good run here, but ultimately it is going to be Booker T getting the dub here, uniting the two belts. He will be both the WCW World Heavyweight and U.S. Heavyweight Champion over Scott Steiner, but they're going to get a lot more time, and it's going to be a far more grueling affair. However, Booker T comes out on top.
Okay, Jimmy, segment 7, please.
1 second. Sorry. Again, he's doing all the matches, so I'm doing all the segments. Vince is backstage, and he's in a room. He's with Trish Stratus because that was his little dime piece back in the day, and wherever he went, she was there to follow. And he is laughing at what he just saw about happened to Scott Steiner. A knock on the door, in comes a staff member saying that it's Jeff Jarrett, and he's here, and he would like to have a meeting with you, Vince. Vince scoffs and says, "You can tell Jeff, JARRETT, that his ASS is fired. Get him the hell off my show and get him off the premises immediately." End segment.
Nice. Cap, segment 8, please.
All right. It is going to be the appropriate ending to the show, but with a more appropriate ending. Sting versus Ric Flair. Who better to finish Nitro? I love that they did this, but here's what we're going to... The match took place as it took place. Sting gets the dub. He and Flair are congratulating each other, and then we're going to have the entire roster come down and surround the ring, you know, young and old. It is everyone applauding Sting and Flair, the two guys who have made this company for the last decade. They are all applauding. No chance. Vince McMahon decides to come down and do his little Monty Hall walk and crash the party. Comes into the ring while Sting and Flair are still standing in there. Vince gets the mic, and Well, I'm glad that all of you worthless redneck hicks here got to see these two guys for the final time, because I have been waiting all night to tell each and every one of you that each and every one of them are. McMahon's mic is dead. Then over the speakers, we hear the music. A very familiar tune. Allman Brothers. Midnight. Down to the entrance way, we see the one and only, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby. Dusty Rhodes makes his way down to the ring, to the ears of the drunkards at Panama City Beach that night. Dusty takes the mic from Vince. Vince, it's been a long time since I've seen you. I used to work for you years ago. You paid Dusty Rhodes all that money to come to New York, all that money. And I just couldn't miss a night like this. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, my greatest opponent of all time. Sting, the franchise, if you will. The guy who has carried the WCW banner for all these years, baby. And all of you down here outside the ring, all of you, young, old, all of you who have put your bodies, your life, your families, everything that you have on the line for WCW. But I'll get to the point, baby. Vince, I told you when I started that Human brought me to, it was 1991. WCW, Jim Crockett Promotions, it had all gone to hell in a handbasket. You brought me up to New York. You paid me all that money. Well, Dusty Rhodes did something that he's not one to often do. Vince, have you actually signed? Have you actually signed that? Have you finalized the deal, baby? Have you actually purchased WCW? Well, the deal is in place. It is in principle. So you haven't. Well, I'm glad for that, because a little bit earlier today, someone came in and made an offer just $1 more than what Vinnie McMahon offered. I think you were offering something like $2.1 million for WCW. Well, it just so happens that was about the amount of money that you paid the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, to come to New York back in 1991, baby. I took that money and I put it in safekeeping, thinking, you know what, American Dream, one day you're going to need this money. You're going to need it for something special. And I held on to it. I held on to it. I held on to it like a baby holds on to its mama. And guess what, Vinny? Just before you got hit at Panama City Beach, Dusty Rhodes outbid you for WCW. I have the contract right here in my pocket, and it shows that the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, is now the new owner of World Championship Wrestling, baby, and not you, Vince McMahon. Vince is absolutely stunned, shocked, scared. He turns around. Flair gives him a chop. Vince turns around. Dusty, elbow. Sting grabs Vince McMahon. Scorpion death drop right in the middle of the ring. Dusty, Sting stand arm in arm over Vince McMahon's prone body. WCW is not dead. And the announcers are saying, well, WCW is not dead. Vince McMahon does not own it. We'll see you a little further on down the road.
And Jimmy,
how many more segments do we got?
One.
All right, so we go to commercial break after all of that happened. Vince McMahon is being helped up, and he's pissed. And then here comes DDP jumping the barricade. He slides in the ring, and he delivers a diamond cutter. We get one more bang before we fade to a ending of the show, in which we get a montage of the greatest moments in WCW Monday Nitro history. Moments like Bill Goldberg defeating Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the World Championship, Scott Hall showing up to Clear War, Lex Luger debuting on the first episode, Sting repelling from the Raptors for the first time, Luger winning the world title over Hogan, and the Ric Flair promo where he strips down in the ring, and that is the end of the show, I guess, or if he has one more.
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Right, gents. Really enjoyed that. Cap, I'm going to have to give this one to Jimmy because you made a mistake. Remember, you can steal wrestlers from each other. Jimmy had Scott Steiner throw the world title down and then leave the building. You immediately then had him wrestle Booker T for said world title. I'm sucker for details, I'm sorry to say. So in this case...
Wait. Time out. That's the other way around. Isn't it?
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm a sucker for details. So, Jimmy, 2.95. Captain, 2.8.
What was the detail that was missed? Steiner had the world title, Booker T had the U.S. title.
No. But Jimmy had Scott come out and surrender and throw down the world title and then leave the building the segment before you had the match.
Working with each other.
With each other. You got to...
All right, so what was the score there?
You got 2.8. Jimmy got 2.95.
Fair enough.
Matty?
The only reason I'm docking Jimmy so much is because it's basically all promos that he did. I enjoyed it, but I'm going to give him a 2.7. I enjoy a lot more matches on my card, and that's what Cap provided with me. I'm going to give him a 2.95.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Yes.
We're working together, so when he's doing matches, I don't want to overflow with matches.
I do understand that, but I am perfectly fine with a show that only has 2 or 3 promo segments.
Fair enough. And Mr. Devin Andrews.
What was Matty's score for Cap?
2.95.
Okay.
So I really can't pick a winner. So yeah, I enjoyed pieces of both. There were pieces of both I'm not sure I would have gone with. For instance, I wouldn't have had Steiner tossing down the title. I get why. I get your thinking. I just wouldn't have done that. And then I loved the idea of Dusty coming out and everything. I don't know. For some reason, something seemed like slightly just wasn't clicking for me. I do applaud you, however, for sticking with like 4 minutes of the Dusty Rhodes impression. That's very, very nice, sir, because that's not easy to do.
The money that Vince paid Dusty is the money that bought WCW out.
I love that story. And yeah, like I said, for some reason, something just wasn't clicking for me, but that's... Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, you tied. I'm at 2.95 for both. Sorry, I know it's a cop-out, but I had to be the one to make the decision last time at the end. So,
right, let me just do some crap maths. Right, so...
do some Steiner math.
No, we'll be here all week.
You, just piss off. Not you guys, the dog.
You said 2.7 for Jim, didn't you, Matt?
I did, 2.7.
7, 2.9, 6. Oh, somebody do some maths. My brain isn't working.
Okay,
I'm showing 8.6 for Jimmy, 8.7 for Cap.
So going into the final round, Jimmy was at 17.25, Cap was at 16.97.
Okay, so what was the final score then if we add in these last ones? Right, so that's somebody got a calculator handy because my brain is totally busted.
All right, so
2.95, 2.95, and 2.7.
That's what it was on the third round, yeah.
Yes.
So Cap is at 25.57. Jimmy Bay would be at 8. See, would be at 25.95 if I'm doing my math correctly here.
You are.
So Cap won 2 out of 3 rounds. Jimmy got the overall score.
So as we cannot have another tiebreaker, gents, cannot have another tiebreaker, I am going to just cast my right. So let me go back to the first one. Jimmy on the first one, 2-1. Cap on the second one, 2-1. This one, Cap on 3-1. Jimmy got the score. Right, I don't know how we're going to do this, boys, because technically it's a tie again.
Well,
Hold on. Who won the overall score?
You won the overall score.
And then who won the main book?
You won the first book.
The main book.
Yes.
And then Cap won the other 2 rounds.
And Cap won the other 2 rounds.
um,
So it is technically a tie again. But I've got to declare a winner. And it's going to have to come down to me, isn't it? Because it's my bloody show. All right.
that's true. I was going to suggest a way that it took the pressure off, but you know.
I'm sorry, Cap. I've got to give it to Jimmy.
I got the perfect score.
Just because he got that 3 points in the first round. So, to no shame at all, and literally losing by a hair's breadth in the overall series. Captain, I thank you kindly. I hope you will return for more booking in the future. Because there is certainly a rematch on the horizon, but I'm going to give Jimmy a different opponent for his next contest.
I am interested in potentially participating if there's an opportunity. I know you don't do pushes, but opportunity.
I mean, hey,
Absolutely
Devin.
fine, Devin. If you want to become a contestant, that's absolutely great.
I mean,
know
hey,
Matthew wants to
Devin.
do it as well.
I've also put my hat in there. If you want to be the next show,
Look, I can do that. When are we looking at?
Let me think. I can probably do the 18th of December.
I will be around for that.
I should be. Yeah, I should be. What's
guys,
that's a Saturday still, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be around for that.
Jimmy, I will give you the next episode off so you can bask in your glory for a while.
And allow Cap to say up front, this has been an incredible year of back and forth booking with myself and Jimmy. I thank the judges who have participated. Nick, I fully accept your decision. It is your show. Jimmy, I want to thank you for coming on these last 2 times and giving me fair shots at doing this. You behaved like a gentleman. We put everything we had into it. And I applaud your victory, sir.
All right,
Thank
gents,
you.
while I still have you
Sentiments are
here,
the same. I am just in a lot of pain right now, so
it's cool.
I'm not my normal chipper self.
Why I still have you both here. So, I was originally going to do this contest as a winner stays on, but I have an idea. So, Jimmy, you have to defend your title at some point. And I think you'll be defending your title against the winner of Mr. Devin Andrews and Mr. Matthew Laws.
Ooh, some stakes involved. I like it.
We will do next month. Would
Okay.
yourself and Captain care to be judges for the next contest?
Absolutely. Anything you ever need, Nick.
I don't know if I'll be available. Like that's why I originally wasn't going to be able to do the show if that was what happened anyway.
Yeah.
I'll let you know though for sure.
Yeah, no problem, Jimmy. If you can, but Cap, if you want to be a judge, you're more than welcome to be a judge for the next show. It'd be great to have you.
Anytime.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, but that is the show. I've been Nick the Geek. He has been Jimmy Bebe.
Thank you again, Jimmy. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Appreciate
He
it.
has been the captain. He has been Mr. Devin Andrews. And he has been Master Matthew Laws. And remember, I am just one geek, obsessed with a good show. And my opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. So please hit me up. I'll get back to everybody that comes in here. I love everybody that tunes in for these things. Thank you so much. I love you all. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks, Geek.